Hello and welcome to Champ Select, your go-to competitive Legends of Runeterra podcast. I'm Alex, as per usual. Joining me are my two co-hosts, Noble.
Hello.
And Hugh.
Hello.
Today we have got a lot to talk about. The seasonal tournament is over, at least for the three of us, unfortunately. None of us quite managed to scrape our way into the top 32, but we're going to be reviewing the whole Cosmic Creations expansion briefly, our thoughts on it, the seasonal tournament as a whole. Riot recently published a competitive, looking towards the future competitive article that has a lot of relevant changes for competitive players. So we're going to look into that. There's Shurima spoilers, and a whole lot of them.
It's like 3 champions?
And,
4.
And Demacia spoilers and
5. Oh my god.
Freljord spoilers.
There's so many spoilers to talk about.
Yeah, we've got Jarvan, we got Talia, we've got Lysandra, we've got...
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
Renekton
as well.
Yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
That happened.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a lot of spoilers to talk about, which I'm super excited about. I love spoiler season. It's the best part of every card game. Players, it's like
the more card
tournament's
games
over, deep breath, relax. Let's look at all these new sweet cards that we're gonna get to play with in the future. Super fun
tip. The more card games you play, the more spoiler seasons you get.
There you go.
That's big brain.
That's big brain.
Huge brain.
Real quick, before we get into any of that, we also have a really exciting announcement that we want to make, and that is that we are officially starting to offer coaching. I know a few people have reached out to us in the past about coaching, and we kind of had to give them a we're not sure answer in the past, or we'll get back to you, but we're officially launching it. It's going to be details on our Twitter, details in our Discord. So if you're interested in any coaching of any kind, then please contact us. We're gonna post it, and
reach out through those platforms, or you can email us
absolutely at champselectpodcast@gmail.com. So we look forward to hearing from anyone. Hopefully you guys are interested, and I'm really excited to work on it. I know a lot of us have done a little bit of coaching in the past, and I've done a lot of teaching and tutoring, stuff like that. I'm just really excited. I really like that platform. It's great for learning. So
super cool.
If you're interested, feel free to check it out. But
I just wanted to say one more exciting thing about that is that there are 3 of us, which means we cover a lot of different decks. We have expertise in a lot of different decks. There's a lot of different things you can do. If you are like, hey, I'm in gold and I want to get to platinum with this brew, you can send us the brew and we'll practice it. We'll take a couple days, practice it, and then
we'll have insight for you.
Yeah. So if there's something in particular you want to focus on, be it a particular deck, a particular archetype, a particular expeditions, maybe pieces of the game that you think you're bad at, maybe you think you're bad at passing or whatever, and you want to have a session where we really dive deep into how to pass correctly or whatever, just give us a little description of what you're looking for when you send that email directly, and we'll be able to pair you with the proper coach, or if you want a specific coach, then just say that and we'll send you the links to get it scheduled. And I think it's going to be, I really think that a lot of people are going to benefit from it. I think I'm not just saying that because it's our product, but we've put a lot of time into it. I think it's going to be a great service, and I hope you guys utilize it. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Without further ado, we got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. The seasonal tournament and Cosmic Creations as a whole. So let's start with the seasonal tournament, I suppose. It's the most recent. I'll go first. I submitted the exact lineup that I talked about on the podcast last week, which for any of you guys who don't remember or didn't hear was Fiora Aphelios, Twisted Fate Fizz, and Stony Suppressor Scouts variant. And I was very happy with the lineup. I won my first match handily. I lost my second match, which eliminated me. I was out that weekend, so I decided not to play the rest of my matches, but the decks felt good, and I know a lot of people submitted similar lineups and had great success with it. So I always really sweat when I recommend lists to people, and I'm always please let people have good results so they don't come back to me with pitchforks. But I'd always be happy to be the one who has the worst results with my lineup, so that I don't get the mob coming after me.
Absolutely.
I was really happy to see a lot of people had success with those lineups. And it felt really good. We actually got data from Riot very recently about the actual meta, but real quick, do you guys want to go over how your tournaments went?
Yeah, I also dropped in round 2. I had a lot of stuff going on, so I also didn't play my subsequent rounds. We moved this weekend. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Moving.
Yeah, exactly. I submitted a slightly different lineup than the one Alex did that we talked about in the podcast. I ended up, after playing Stony Scouts for a little bit, I decided that it just wasn't a deck I felt comfortable with. And at the end of the day, like, I at least
have to submit decks you're comfortable
exactly,
with.
Especially for me, that's like a very personal thing. But I need to be very comfortable on the decks I'm playing. It like if I feel even a tiny bit off with the deck, I can't.
Unprepared.
Yeah, I can't go into a tournament with it. So instead of Stony Scouts, I submitted Zoe Lee, the Veiled Temple variant, because I think Veiled Temple is just like might be the best card in the game right now.
That variant is really good. I played a few games with it on ladder after you posted it. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? Did you like it?
I loved the lineup every single time. Both times that I like played into the first lineup I played into was Endure Aggro and Zoe Lee and TF Fizz. Felt great into that. I forget what the second lineup was, but at no point did I feel any game was like unlosable.
Doomed, yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I was at worst 50-50 against everything, with the exception of Zoe Lee into TF Fizz specifically. That's unfavorable, and that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Noble?
I really need to get better at taking my own advice, mostly. I played Alex's lineup, the Champ Select lineup. And I really think that I should have played neither Stony Scouts nor Fiora Felios. I did this thing where I was like, I'm really comfortable in all these decks. I've been playing Legends of Runeterra, I think, for the longest out of any of us. And I just have a lot of games on all the different decks, played a lot of ranked, played a lot of gauntlets and tournaments and stuff. And I would say that I am comfortable on basically any deck. And that's just wrong. Like, really? Like, I just needed to put 15, 20, 30 games into Fiora Felios, and I put in like 2. And then I was like, this deck feels powerful. And then I submitted it. I should have absolutely played a deck that I knew better, and probably just not an Aphelios deck. I had some people watching my stream, and after I played a game with this Fiora Aphelios deck, I was like, yeah, that was all right. Sucks that I lost. And my guy was like, no, you punted like 4 times. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, why did you Moonsilver out Aphelios on turn 2? Like, it didn't do anything. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, I didn't immediately get another gun. Like, I didn't know what gun I wanted yet because it was turn 2. Like, it attacked for 3 damage, but that was kind of it. I had a goat in my hand. Like, I should have just played that. Like, that kind of thing. And, you know, I got Crescendum and then played Crescendum and was like, goat. And he was like, you could have just played the goat in your hand and it would have triggered the Aphelios and it would have been good. Yeah, and then I also feel the same about Scouts. I was like, it's an aggro deck, you know, whatever. And then I played and I honestly thought the Aphelios Twisted Fate matchup was bad for Scouts. And then another person on my testing team informed me that they thought it was very good. And then I played it in the first round and then just lost like a 20-minute game where just like, I think I made substantial misplays. Like, I had the Stony Suppressor into MF into Bannerman to save them both from Calibrum or Boxtopus. And I was like really well set up. And then they just kind of like ground me out over like actually 15 turns. I like played 3 Cythrias and they like managed to do enough stunning and like kill me through it. And they flipped their champions. I had a really bad turn in which, so I was using the LOR deck tracker for the first time too, which I should not have done. And it was up. And I could see like half of my attack token, but then I rallied on their turn and did a scout attack, and then forgot I had the attack token with a flipped Quinn, and I could have just like attacked and killed his Aphelios that was flipped, and then he played Crescendum on it.
Oh,
and I was
you
like,
hate to see it. Oh, you hate to see
not
it.
Crescendum,
Not like
the
Calibrum.
Severum?
Severum.
There we go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the one
Then he
that
played Severum on it, and I was like, and I
guessed all
still
5.
almost won after he gained 8 life. Like, I still almost won that game, and just the fact that I was just like that much worse was really that game was like really punished me. I also just like attacked a Stony Suppressor into 3/3 that just got to eat it. It got in for a bunch of damage, but like, yeah, I should not have done it. And so, I just misplayed, and I shouldn't have played decks that I was that unfamiliar with. And if I was, I definitely should have been paying more attention to the game state.
lessons learned.
Yeah, live and learn.
And I really think me as a player, I need to like being comfortable on decks is huge because I like often go on autopilot, and I should do that less. But it helps a lot when it's a deck that I've always played. Like, I've played Amulet Titan in Magic a lot. That deck is incredibly complicated, but I can kind of autopilot through it because I've thought through all the lines before. But with Legends of Runeterra, that just doesn't happen, and there are so many decks in the meta.
Yeah, and
the matchups are different. Like, the matchup against Discard aggro and Pirate aggro and Scouts are all
very
so
different. Yeah,
and you just
hard.
you have to be really.
Yeah, I didn't have enough as many games as I wanted on that Fiora Aphelios deck, and I think that I had probably 30 or 40 by the time the seasonal tournament happened, and I was not super happy with. I was not super confident that I was going to play that deck optimally either, because I thought it was really hard. So
I should have just played Fiora Shen. Like I think I would have just
probably played better. Yeah,
I think that Fiora Shen would have performed way better for me than that did.
Yeah.
I saw a good amount of discard aggro and just like had to ban it every time because it was like really good against our lineup. I think
it was. Yeah. There was I banned discard aggro in my second match as well.
Yeah, and I had some good games, some good matches. I lost my first 2 rounds like 0-2, and then I got a free win, and then I won, and then in my last match was the match that my friend spectated because his opponent also scooped, and I didn't end up getting the thing. I ended up going 2-3, which was unfortunate.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But and that was the game that some people watched because I was streaming in the Discord. And they were like, dude. But
this is not
it was kind of nice. I lost in the first round, and I was like, I'm just gonna have fun, just play this tournament, see what happens. And I'm disappointed to not 3-2, but always next time.
Yeah.
Speaking of next time,
absolutely. Real quick, I do want to go over what the actual top 32 meta was really fast. Riot published this on Twitter like an hour ago, as the time we're recording of this. So the America's top 32 consists of 25 of the 32 players registered Twisted Fate. Yep. 19 of the 32 players registered both Aphelios and Fizz. So
all those Fizzes were with Twisted Fates, I hope.
Yeah, almost certainly. So 19 copies each of Aphelios Twisted Fate, 16 copies each of Draven and Zoe, 12 copies each of Lee Sin and Fiora, and then descending down from there, you see a few copies of 11 Shenmue Fortune, 8 Ezreal Gangplank, et cetera, et cetera.
That's like really kind of exactly
what we thought, I think. Yeah,
we nailed the meta.
Were there Tom Kenches in there?
Well. There were Tom Kenches and there was one Soraka.
3 Tom Kenches
and one Soraka
registered, and one Soraka.
Yeah, those other 2 Tom Kenches were in
Aphelios.
Tom Kenches Aphelios probably, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So the most played deck was TF Fizz, followed by TF Aphelios. So most players brought a Twisted Fate deck, as we suspected. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not all of them. 7 players didn't, and 5 owned. So I'm curious. I'm not certain what those players brought, but I'm really excited to see what their lineups are and why they didn't bring a Twisted Fate deck. I would be curious to hear their logic behind that.
Yeah. In this game, I was talking with some people who was testing with it, and in this game, there's just a lot of different decks.
There's a lot of different
decks you can be comfortable on, and shouldn't this is not like a Magic tournament where because a card is really, really good, you should probably register it. You have 3 decks, so it makes it more likely you should register it. But if you like the synergy of your lineup and you're comfortable on it, it's totally reasonable not to play one of the decks that you think is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, you can't bring if you're gonna play, because you can't duplicate region combinations. If you're playing Bilgewater with something else, if you're playing Bilgewater Noxus. This is a bad example probably in this exact case, but you can't necessarily play a Twisted Fate deck if you're playing Tom Rocka, because you can't play Twisted Fate Aphelios, and maybe you don't want to play TF Fizz for other reasons,
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. I think I'm happy with how we met the Retta. I'm happy with our predictions. I'm personally happy with the lineup I submitted. I lost my second round. I lost a Burblefish mirror, and then I lost Burblefish against Pirates or whatever. Yeah. Both games that I easily could have won. Maybe I didn't play great. Maybe I just got unlucky. But
the other person, if I know of, that submitted, lost in round 1 to Katarina Yasuo.
Oh, we talked about that. That's just as bad as Thresh Yasuo.
Yeah, got tabled by Katarina Yasuo, and their lineup was Katarina Yasuo, Lucian Hecarim, and then it was Karma Vi or some other random thing that I had really not heard of in forever.
The hotness. Oh my god.
Yeah. You got spanked by the jank.
It was something. Oh no, it was a Targon's Peak deck.
That's what it was. You got the jank spank.
Yeah.
I loved getting jank spanks, man. That's my favorite in every tournament. It happens to at least someone every time.
Alex, let's keep the podcast
PG. PG. Look, man, you brought up Katarina Yasuo. Okay, that is not PG. All right, so that is the seasonal tournament. Let's move on to the future of seasonal tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a really exciting article that Riot published recently.
Yeah, last week we talked about exactly what we wanted in tournament structure, and then a day later, Riot was
Boom.
Apparently,
yeah,
maybe they listen to our podcast. I don't know if our podcast was even up yet, but
maybe
hopefully
they just know.
listening. I'm glad you're listening, Riot.
Yeah,
it's nice to talk about you. So they're going to be. They wanted to kind of reduce the variance, and they said that the
5-0 is a brutal tournament structure.
5-0, 10-0 to win
the tournament is single elimination is a rough tournament structure for competitive players.
And they said they see the two solutions to be either we decrease the number of players or increase the number of rounds, which makes sense.
Absolutely.
You had less players, you could have 4-1s getting in because you only have like 60 players qualified or whatever. And I don't think we want that.
Probably not.
Yeah. And then they said they're going to increase the number of rounds, upping the open rounds from 5 to 9. The increase will grant a little breathing room where losing a match will no longer prevent players from progressing into the playoffs. With the same number, 1,024 competitors, we would promote everyone with 8+ wins and the top 12 seeded players with 7 wins. So you can't draw in this tournament structure, which makes them able to make a clean statement like this, which is kind of nice.
Yep,
because in Magic tournaments, it's just the top 8 ranked people in the standings, and that can vary greatly depending on how many the number of players and all that stuff. But they're not going to have trouble filling these slots. There's never going to be less than this many players that want to play a seasonal tournament.
Yeah, never.
So it's always going to be full. So they always know how many people there are already going to be. So they can always know the records. The top 12 seeded players with 7 wins will get in there. I'm guessing that seeding will.
I think we know that seeding is based on rank in ladder. I believe we know that already.
Oh, interesting.
Which is kind of weird.
I don't.
Well, like, because you'd think it would be based on in the tournament, but the tiebreakers will be less small margins. It'll be pretty clear. Like if you're number 1 NA, you just get to 7-2 or whatever. Like
I don't know. I don't think that personally that's weird at all.
Yeah, and
it makes sense.
I actually kind of like it because it's going to make me actually want to grind a week before the season.
And that's why I don't think it's weird because like someone who put the time in.
Yeah, and to be clear, if you get to like top 100, you can stop because it is so unlikely that there will be 11 of the players above you in the rankings will also go exactly 7-2. Like that's very unlikely. So you're probably safe in top 100.
That does, however, mean that any players who qualify through the last chance gauntlet, correct me if I'm wrong with this assumption, but that means that they're basically no good ever at 7-2, right?
Correct.
Yeah, unless there are also
less
masters.
Unless there are less than 12 players who are 7-2 that qualified by being masters.
I'm pretty sure they also have said in regards to last chance gauntlet specifically that anyone who qualified via last chance gauntlet specifically is automatically seeded lower, period. Like that's just how that works.
Yeah.
I think they've
I did. Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah.
So that's the thing for the April seasonal tournament, which is awesome. It's incredible they had to turn around this fast.
They've really been listening to the community.
Incredibly
about
responsive.
A lot of things.
Yeah, Ryan's going to talk about something with a new champion release too, where they just like there was a problem and within 24 hours they were like,
I really want to tip my cap to Riot for how they've handled Legends of Runeterra as a whole
absolutely
so far.
Riot. Please hire me. I mean, you're doing a great job.
anyway, so there's a little bit more going on there.
The future of gauntlets is changing in patch 2.40, which is a little bit from now, right? That's 4 patches into Shurima. 2.4.
I'm not entirely sure, but soonish.
Don't know.
The pick and ban best of 3 format will be back, and this will be the primary format for gauntlets going forward. So that'll all be the tournament structure, which is awesome because best of 3 is awesome. I want it to be a bigger part of competitive play and not just ladder. And so it being on the gauntlet, it's really important, and it just lets us practice that.
Yeah,
like all
practice
the time,
is so important. We just didn't have a way to practice before, other than scrims with your friends,
which is kind of unfortunate because I do really like Singleton, and I think that that's a cool format. But I agree that having it,
they can just move it to lab.
Ways. Yeah.
There's plenty of places they can put it.
And like communities can run Singleton tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of that, a big part of this announcement is basically a general plan to make there be a tournament mode in client, so that third parties can host tournaments in the client that isn't just like challenging people, but like actually a tournament.
That would be insanely awesome to have.
Yeah, that's something like other games do not really do. Like I don't think there's that in Arena. They barely have a tournament structure in Arena.
Us as content creators, for example, like we would love to be able to have an in-game. It would be so sweet to be able to like, we're having a tournament at this time at this place. Here's the link. Put it in, and boom, you can join this tournament or whatever.
Yeah,
and, like so we could just run it all in client. That would be so
we
awesome.
don't have to in our Discord, which we haven't done this yet, but it is, spoiler alert, something that we plan on doing in the future. Don't have to like say everyone in our Discord message people, be like challenge me based on record, have to do all that book.
You don't have to moderate it. Yeah.
it makes it way easier to run that kind of stuff. And then very cool that they said that their goal for Legends of Runeterra competitive scenes are built around providing a path to becoming a competitive player. This is kind of exactly what we talked about.
This is exactly what we wanted too, I think, personally.
And then they talk about that path culminating.
There we
Nailed
go.
it. In the World Championship, which they very vaguely announced, said there is going to be one, and they can't say much about it.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Riot Games knows how to do World Championships. I think the Legends of Runeterra World Championship is
Riot Games knows how to do
didn't even
hype in
process
general.
that this was Riot.
Oh yeah,
because I've watched.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be in like Madison Square Garden, like like this is gonna be awesome.
Heck
yeah.
Okay.
At least I hope. It might not be, but it would be really cool if it was or whatever. So. I'm really, really excited about the future of Legends of Runeterra competitive scene. Like reading that article, I just felt warm inside. It's like, yes, like we've been doing this podcast, we've been trying to be competitive Legends of Runeterra players. Like this is what I wanted to hear, like almost word for word. Like if I could have written an article in my dreams to like wake up and read it, almost word for word would have been that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, same.
All right, now that we're stoked on this and the future, let's talk about the future of the game. Let's get some Shurima spoilers going.
Whoa, more than just Shurima spoilers. This is a lot.
Yeah, what's the set name?
Empires Ascended?
Empires Ascended? Empire of the Ascended?
Empires of the Ascended.
Empires of the Ascended. So we've got a whole lot of Empires of the Ascended spoilers. We are recording this episode on Tuesday evening, Tuesday the 23rd currently. So there will be a few more spoilers, presumably by the time this episode goes live, that we haven't seen yet. But we're going to go over all the ones we have seen so far.
Shurima comes out in 9 days, not 2, right?
These cards it comes out in March.
Yeah, so
early March.
9 days.
Yeah,
it's
9
like
days.
It's like the 23rd of February. Yeah. So
yes.
Yeah. So it comes out, I believe, a week from the Thursday that you'll be listening to this episode.
Yeah. So let's just start it off. You go ahead and let's go down the line. We got a lot of cards to talk about.
Yeah, we're just gonna. I have the whole thing pulled up, so we're just gonna start in the order we saw every card chronologically. So
sounds great.
First thing, 7 mana slow. We're starting with Shurima. 7 mana slow called Ascended's Rise. Level up all level 1 Ascended allies. That
I love that being one of the first cards they released because everyone was like, what does this mean? What does Ascended allies mean? Are they champions? Well, they're probably champions, but are there also non-champion things that ascend?
Do we know the answer to that yet definitively?
The answer is so far no, but maybe yes.
Sorry if you guys heard that. I'm trying to load up this cool Renekton trailer video because I'm trying to see if they spoiled the exact words for countdown in the future.
Oh, I see.
But
yeah.
I don't think they have.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the next card because this one's a little hard. In a vacuum, we can't really.
Let's start with. Can we start with Renekton? Like from this, or did he not even come out in this?
Really,
Okay, yeah. Let's just go.
No, we're gonna go in the. We're gonna go
down
in.
the
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's like literally
Any other
like
way
50
lies madness.
cards or something. Yeah. We can't jump around here. The next card is called Voice of the Risen. It's a 4 mana 3/4 that says if you've leveled a champion, allies have +2/+0.
Wild.
I think that this card's probably bad. I don't really see a world where this is gonna okay. So I suppose if I'm gonna try and paint a picture where this card is good, it's probably in some sort of like endure aggro or like spider aggro type of deck where the +2/+0 is really relevant and it's easy to flip an aggressively oriented champion like
Callista Release.
Yeah, Callista Release, something
incredibly
like
easy
that.
to flip if you
try to. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that like there's so many, like if your plan is to level a champion who's going to win the game, then why do you care about this card, right? Like I do not need this card to win the game with my leveled up Aurelion Soul or my leveled up Gangplank or my leveled up Misfortune or whatever, right? Like those cards are all going to win the game on their own. I think this card needs to find a home in a deck that wants to level up its champions. It needs to be aggressive, and the leveled up champion doesn't already win the game on its own. That's a pretty hard ask.
Whoa.
So,
okay, I would like to real quick establish. Let's grade these cards. Like I think that we should give these cards a B, C, D, F grade, and then also this is a lot of this is taken from how a lot of Magic spoilers work. But A being best of the best, think it's going to be tier 1, very powerful, slots easily into a deck. B, I would say, are cards that look powerful, but we're not sure quite where they fit. You're like, oh, this effect is good. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go. And then C is cards that are just kind of like generic. Like I would put current Loyal Badger Bear as like a C, like just very on rate, pretty good card. Like Cythria, 1 mana 2/2. Like you know,
cards
just
that are just fine to have in your expedition deck or whatever, and sometimes see constructed play, but not very often.
And then like, you know, let's do A, B, C, F. I don't think we need a D.
Yeah, we don't need D.
F is just like, I think this card is stone unplayable. And then we have like a build around, like, put this in the bucket of someone else might break this. Let's see what happens. I would put Tom Kench in that bucket when I first saw him. It was like, this card is so hard to know how it plays out when you haven't built a deck around it, right? Like, one of those cards that's like, this card might have a deck. You know, where the other ones, the A is like this card goes in a deck, or this card very clearly has a deck built around it that we think is going to be very good. And then other ones have like, you know, let's see where that happens. So that first card is definitely that card looks like a C to me.
I think this
the 7 mana card was a C. And I think this card is also a C.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to see constructed play.
You can argue, Hugh. What do you think?
I think so. I'm thinking there's so much to process here, but
Absolutely.
One thing I'm thinking about is you mentioned that if you have leveled your champion, why do you need this card? And the answer could very easily be redundancy.
That's pretty fair.
Like theoretically, like what if this is just champions 7 through 9?
Like, you think this card is flipped champion level powerful?
I think that paying 4 mana for, let's say you have 2 1/1s, you're paying 4 mana for like what is that?
Power.
7 power on board. Yeah. I think that's.
But if it does get removed at fast speed, you lose the buff, right?
Okay, so
that was a question on the wording about the wording of the card.
Oh, yes, it's static.
Okay, it's static, not like a trigger.
Yeah, they have +2/+0, so it's static. So if she
not play or not like it's not, when you level up a champion.
Exactly, it's static, so it'll go away if she leaves play. But like, how often is casting vision twice like insane? I don't know.
Totally.
She's casting vision twice. ETB.
That's fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
And as a 4 mana.
Not even ETB. You can flip them after you play the card.
Yeah. So it's a little better than that even. So
which is nice.
Yeah. It is retroactive. One thing I do want to make clear: does the champion need? So if you have a champion like Lee Sin that flips within your deck, you still have to play him for him to.
I think that is
officially flip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like when he levels in your deck, his art does change.
Yes, but you know,
but
when
the card is still
you still play him as face up. He's glowing in your hand. You play him face up, and then he transforms.
Okay, that's
and
what
if the champion has a transform trigger, you get it then.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to be clear. So that is another thing. If that didn't need to be true, I'd be much more willing to give this card like a B. I think currently we can say C, but like I think if it finds a home, I think this card's.
Otherwise, you could like. You could put 1 Fizz in your deck just so that when you played 6 spells, this card got turned on.
Yeah, and so something weird like that. I think if this card finds a home as like the curve topper of like, what if we see spiders deck being a thing?
Spiders is the one that jumps out to me.
Yeah, spiders used to be like the premier aggro deck, and a card like this is very.
The game's evolved.
Yeah,
complexity has crept.
For now, I'll give it a C as well.
All right, what do we got next?
Golden Ambassador, 4 mana, 3/2 with Allegiance. Draw a champion and grant it +2/+2.
So this is the classic Allegiance region payoff, and this one's good.
This is
a nice one.
Very strong payoff.
So my first thing was like, this card's just stats. It's not a card. It's literally a card.
It's a card.
It literally replaces itself with a champion, nonetheless, that is better.
Yeah, and the body is a little small. Right,
that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not that small.
It's slightly smaller than Vanguard Bannerman, arguably better than Kinku Wayfinders and Mountain Scryer.
Something I want to compare it to is Written in Stars.
Absolutely,
literally that exact effect, and that's on a 4 mana burst spell, so it doesn't give you anything other than draw the champion +2/+2.
And that card has to be invoked. I think that card would be very, very powerful if you could.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. That card's very strong.
It doesn't decrease the cost of the champion, but it still gives it +2/+2. Like, this card's good. Yeah,
it makes I
expect to play this card in my constructed Shurima decks. Like, especially if they're champ synergy reliant.
We've seen plenty of decks that are use Allegiance that do the 37 of one region, 3 of this one splash because the card's just that good. And I think this could absolutely find a home.
I mean, this card's great with Fiora.
super good with Fiora.
Like, you do have to be playing a not totally like a low Demacia count Fiora deck, but at the point that you do, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, we don't know all of the Shurima cards, and so it's really hard to fully evaluate this in a vacuum. But
there is
initial impressions say
there is another card that incentivizes you to play mono Shurima, like literally only Shurima cards as well. So
and we'll come to that. And
we'll get to
about
that,
it. I did just want to say, like, comparing this to Evorus and Outriders or Basilisk Riders, this card is like much better. And Evorus and Outriders has found homes before, and I think that this is on par with the Mountain Scryer.
I think this card is easily as good as Mountain Scryer.
And Mountain Scryer is quite powerful.
And Mountain Scryer is good.
And very slow. Whereas this card can, like, I mean, just imagine like playing this on 4 and then just curving it into like a Trundle. That card should be huge.
It'd be so hard to kill. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think that this card's like a BB plus. Probably. Yeah. It's probably not an A. Like, it's probably not going to be meta defining or anything.
Yeah, it's not Twisted Fate, but it's definitely like
this card's good. Yeah, I expect to put this card in my Shurima decks, and I think I'm going to be very happy every time I cast it and hit. I'm going to be incredibly salty if I miss. So
I'm going to just say this card's an A for me.
Yeah. Wow.
I think it's 100%. I think it's incredibly
Teemo.
I think it's incredibly hard for this effect. Like, Shurima as a region has to be so bad for this card to not
be so powerful,
so exploitable. Like, you just run 3 of Zoe.
Yeah, sure, great. Sign me up.
And just Zoe.
And, like, on 5, you go this Zoe, and she's a 3/3, and you swing for 6, 3 of which is like, I don't know. There's so many.
Much.
Well, at that point, you're putting Targon on your deck, but not actually playing Targon. At which point, you've made a mistake. But
maybe not.
Totally,
+2 to a champion is incredibly debilitating.
Yeah. I mean, and like we'll probably talk about this as we talk about the other Shurima champions. Be like, by the way, Renekton's really good with this card or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Anyway,
so moving on.
Next card, 3 mana, 1/6. Devoted Council. It says round start. If you've leveled a champion, heal your champions in Nexus 2. I think this card's great.
Wow, really? I was in the middle of saying completely unplayable.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Tom Rocka thinks the upgraded Starspring is good. Shocked.
I'm not actually gonna say completely unplayable, but I will be shocked if this card sees play. This is a 3 mana 1/6, which I have no interest in putting in any deck, and except for maybe exactly Tom Rocka, but it can't slot into Tom Rocka because it's a Shurima card, and like, you have to have a leveled champion already, like. Oh. And it doesn't even heal other things. It only heals the champions in your Nexus. Like, how many times are you going to end up in a game state where you have a leveled champion and need to be healing your Nexus so that you aren't losing to aggro? Like, I just don't think that that's all going to happen that often. So,
and Hugh, what do you think?
I think that what consistently happens is there's just an what's the word I'm looking for? Underestimation of how unbelievably versatile we've seen this game be.
That's fair.
Like,
absolutely
incredibly versatile. Like, I think that jump the gun a little on great. I don't think I'm not going to give this card
argue playable.
I'm not going to give this card an A by any means.
So I'm giving this card a C, by the way. But
I'm sitting in F, and I'm willing to be talked up to C.
Yeah, I'm sitting on. I'm trying to talk myself into a B here.
Okay. Well, why don't you try and talk me into a C first? Maybe let's start there.
So, first of all, I think that if your plan is to level a champion, it is not that hard to do so.
Okay, I agree.
Period. That's it, and that's the start. Second of all, especially
like
with
any champion or a champion you care about, because that depends on the champion.
Yeah. Well, if your plan is I'm going to level this champion and your deck is built to do it, I'm going to assume that your deck can reliably do so.
Yeah. Also, think of it this way. What if Shurima makes the plan of I just need a leveled champion? It doesn't even have to be a champion I particularly like that much. Like, what if that plan's good now?
It's because it's Fizz, and that's easy, or whatever.
Yeah. We don't know exactly yet. But I think that you're also it's a 3 mana 1/6, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it to remove a 1/6?
Pretty hard.
It's pretty tough. Yeah.
But like, it trades with a 3/2 over 2 turns.
Okay. And how much like it heals you for 2 every turn. It heals your champions 2 every turn.
There's a lot of blocking against an aggro deck. Like so much blocking.
The 1/6 body is pretty relevant against an aggro decks. I'll give it that. Though the 1/6 body comes out a little late to be relevant against aggro decks, I think, or at least that relevant.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this more as not like an anti-aggro card. I'm thinking of this more as just sitting there and you're like kind of just stonewalling the ability to kill your champion, right? Your champion takes any amount of damage. It's like, well, it's going to heal. It's going to heal back up. Okay, do I deal with this 1/6? How do I deal with this 1/6? But I also need to deal with their champion. I think there's just
Fiora does come to mind.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many value engines we have as champions that we struggle to protect. And we like how often have the margins been razor thin on like I need 1 more damage or I need 2 more damage. This turn, this champion needs to die.
Yeah.
This card could be a massive wrench in that plan, and I don't know if that's good, but I'm more than willing to say that it probably could very easily be good.
And one thing I do want to say real quick is like when we're thinking about cards from a new region, this literally cannot fit into any deck that we've already played. Like you cannot put this card in any deck that
it has to be
currently have in your thing. Like it is totally new context because a whole nother region is coming out. Like we said, you can't put any of these cards in Tomraka. That's just not how the game works. So you need to be thinking about that there's just this huge new possibility of what you can do.
Right. And that's part of the reason I'm a little more flexible on my evaluations right now is just because with the addition of a new region, like infinite possibilities just opened up, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to be the pessimist here. I'm going to say that this card is not good enough to see constructed play. I don't think.
I give it a C. Role player. Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to give this. I can agree with a C, but I'd like to give it a low B.
Yeah, B minus. You can give it a B minus.
Yeah, B minus for sure.
All right, next card.
Next card is our. Oh, I guess it's.
We spent way longer talking about that card than I thought we would.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was going to be a quick, easy.
Throw in the trash, move on.
Throw it in the trash, move on.
Friendly reminder about Veiled Temple. Anyway.
Yeah. That's why I'm even hearing you out on this one.
Next card is a Poro.
Oh yeah.
Exalted Poro, 1 mana, 2/2. I have 3 random keywords.
Wait,
that's
not
created.
Exactly. That's not the base Poro. We're not just giving Shurima the nuttiest 1-drop of all time. Here we go. The actual start of the Poro is called Destined Poro, 1 mana, 1/1. Go figure. Round start. If you've leveled a champion, transform me into Exalted Poro.
Okay. Please tell me we can agree that this card's unplayable.
F.
This is an F. This card, it's a 1 mana, 1/1.
Why do you want to play a 1 mana
2/2? 2/2
on turn 6
when it's not relevant. Yeah.
This Burblefish, this card is not. You do not want to play these cards on turn 3 of this card on turn 6. Flip them all, get in there.
Iterative improvement.
And you're like, wait a minute. This one has First Strike and Trample and Overwhelm. First Strike and Overwhelm and Spell Shield.
Here's my 2/2 Poro with tough, quick attack,
regeneration.
I'm fully willing to give this card an F.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
A+ on cuteness.
A+ on cuteness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be an S tier.
The Destined Poro is like nibbling on this little thing.
Adorable. Yeah. So cute. He's like eating somebody's boot.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, next card, 3 mana, 3/4. Esteemed Hierophant. When I'm summoned, advance your Buried Sun Disk 2 rounds. So let's just go straight to Buried Sun Disk.
Yeah, let's go to Buried Sun Disk real quick.
1 mana. It's a landmark. Start of game. Draw 1 of me if all of your cards are Shuriman. So it encourages a mono Shurima.
Yeah, this was that card we talked about a little, or alluded to a little earlier. That it's the card that rewards mono Shurima.
And initially reading this, I'm like, if I'm playing this card, I want the Allegiance card to be good. And we agreed that the Allegiance card is good. So
yes.
Great.
Anyway, Countdown 25. I believe we do not have the exact Oracle text on Countdown as a keyword. Right?
But we know what it does.
Beginning of your turn,
remove a counter.
Counts down 1.
Yeah. And that
when it hits 0, effect.
And sacrifice it effect.
Yes.
Notably.
Yeah. Anyway, Countdown 25. Restore the Sun Disk. When an Ascended ally levels up, advance me 10 rounds.
Cool.
So,
and then let's read the Restored Sun. There's a long rabbit hole here.
yeah, there's a lot of card tie-ins to each other.
Yeah.
So many in this expansion.
Yes. Restored Sun Disc says immediately draw one of all your ascendants. For the rest of the game, your level 2 ascendants are level 3.
So it puts all of your champions in your hand?
Yes.
So if you're playing 2, 2, and 2 of or 3, 2, and 1 of different ascended champions,
It draws one copy of each.
okay. And I actually think that the text on this card probably means if they don't want it drawing 10 cards, that it's only champions that ascend. I think that we can just like say that.
I think
pretty
that's
confidently.
probably true, or at least I'm willing to assume that for now.
For now, for sure.
So, all right. So, I've got a lot to say about this card.
Yeah.
So, Buried Sundisk. This is very reminiscent to me of quests from Hearthstone. If any of you guys have played Hearthstone before, very similar mechanic. It was basically you can put it in your deck. You're guaranteed to start the game with it in your hand. Was the quest rule.
If
and then
blank?
Yeah, and then it was if you complete X task, then you get blank. And they were big rewards. So the mage one was a spell that let you take an extra turn. There was a rogue one that turned all of your creatures into 5/5s, base power and toughness, etc., etc. They were very meta defining, meta warping. They were a huge
All the best
part of
decks
the
were
game.
like-
Until
and
you
it was
told that, it didn't click that this card is like has companion from Magic.
yes, this card you get it every game. So it's really these are dangerous cards because a card that you're guaranteed to draw every game immediately means that like if this is your plan, you're gonna always do it.
100% consistency.
100% of the time. Now, there are a few things that worry me about this card, namely countdown 25. That's a huge amount. You have to be leveling champions in order to get that 10 counters removed.
You have to
Otherwise,
level 2. Like
Yeah.
you're not 15 rounds.
not realistic. Yeah,
ain't
you're probably
taking
going
up
to
a
have
slot
to
on your
level
board
up
for way too long.
2 separate champions in order to.
Yeah, because it can't be the same champion
Or
twice,
one
right?
champion. No, never mind.
I
That's
don't
not
think
how
it
works.
can be the same champion twice. So you probably need to level up 2 separate champions in order to activate this.
That means we might be wanting to be playing like 3 or more different champions, especially because it draws the copy of all of them. Like we want to go like 1-1
Or like 2-2-1-1.
or
Yeah.
3-1-1-1.
But they all have to be Shuriman.
Yeah, and they all have to be ascended if you want to draw them.
So it seems hard to do to me, I think. And like you can kill it. It's a landmark, so it doesn't die to everything, but there's quite a bit of landmark removal that just exists in the game currently. And I expect that to see an uptick after the amount of landmark synergy that Shurima has. So
Spoiler,
yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. I think that this card is probably not worth the restriction. I'm going to guess. I don't think there's any way I can make a real informed judgment of how good this card is going to be. This is one of those cards that I want to put in the like build bucket where it's like I'm gonna try this and I have no idea if it's gonna be good. I just don't have any reference point for this card. I think that my inclination is that it's probably not good enough to be worth playing mono.
At this point, we've only seen one ascended champion, and honestly, with this many ascended supports, I would be surprised if there weren't 3. And I'm kind of confused because of the amount of champions I know are in this expansion, which I'm not exactly sure on. But people are saying there are 2 more Shuriman ones, and at this rate, it seems like they both have to be ascended. Probably Nasus,
Azir, something like that. Yeah. So, interesting card. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to feel really bad when somebody aftershocks this landmark when it's at like 2 counters or something.
One thing that is weird is that just flavor wise, Diana and Leona are both ascendeds. They're like in the lore, ascended means like magically empowered by some outside force, and Leona is like the aspect of the moon, and
Leona's the sun.
Sun, and Diana is the aspect of the moon. Like they are ascendeds in lore. So
interesting. So it's a little curious, maybe why they don't have that. I don't know. Maybe they'll announce that they're getting ascended.
Yeah, we could theoretically see new levels for existing champions.
That would be cool.
I do think that's pretty rare, pretty unlikely, but it might happen.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's pretty unlikely. But
Pantheon could be the Targon champion. He's also an ascended, and I could totally see him. His whole voice line is like, I'm here on the earth. Like I fell from the earth so that I fell from the sky to the earth so that I can rise again. Like I would be shocked if he wasn't an ascended.
I agree. Yeah, totally. Now that you mention it, that makes a lot of sense. So back
then again,
to
can't put him in a deck with this card because he's not going to be Shurima.
So back to this 3/4.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add to the Sun
I was going to
Disc
say,
real quick,
you keep saying we can't put non-Shurima cards. We actually can.
You can. You just aren't guaranteed to draw it.
Yes, and I don't know how big of an issue that is. It's probably a pretty big issue.
Me neither. Yeah.
And I'm going to say for now that it is a massive drawback, and you probably don't want to be putting non-Shuriman cards in the deck with this card in it.
Yeah.
But we've been very surprised.
We've been bamboozled in the past.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see.
I can't judge this card accurately.
This one's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the 3 mana 3/4. Let's read that one again.
When I'm summoned, advance to your buried Sun Disc 2 rounds.
It's a 3 mana 3/4.
Yeah, it's just a Badger Bear with some extra text.
Neat.
And
So it's like Riven.
Oh god!
Oh, straight through the heart. Disaster.
The worst part is you're not wrong.
Yeah,
right now.
not wrong at all, man.
Yeah, this card might see more play than Riven.
Oh, that's yeah.
Anyway,
If the Buried Sun Disc thing is good, then this card's probably going to go in your Sun Disc deck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a C for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if this card sees constructed play and ends up being more like a B-. It's never going to be the best card in that deck, but it's got a reasonable body. It does the thing you want it to do if you're doing that. So I'd probably play this card,
especially
if I was doing the Sun Disc thing.
Especially because it pays you off for named card, and you can make sure that named card always starts in your hand.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Okay. So next card, it is called Unworthy. 2 mana, slow. Give an enemy follower -4/-0 this round. If you have fewer mana gems than your opponent, kill it instead.
It's slow.
It's slow.
Okay. Real quick, I want to rate the other card. I think the other card's a C. Potential role player.
Yeah.
I think we just agree on that.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that we remember to rate all the cards.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the Hierophant, right?
this one is weird. So there's some like destroy your own mana gem cards that we've seen in Shurima. So there is some synergy there with that.
And
you
it's
don't just
anti-ramp.
have to be playing against Freljord or whatever. -4/-0 at slow speed is not a good effect. So in order to play this card, I'm going to have to be killing things, I think.
Oh, yeah. But then it's a 2 mana murder, which is like,
Really good. It's
Yeah.
2 mana vengeance. Are you
Compared to
kidding me?
Vengeance,
Well, I mean, it's slow, but still, right?
Yeah.
Like when you compare it to like a similar effect like Crumble, that's 5 mana slow, and you have to sacrifice something. So like the rate here is insane. This is a really, really very good payoff for having less mana crystals than your opponent. And even when you have less mana crystals than your opponent, you're still going to be able to be more mana efficient than them because this card is so insanely efficient.
This is like, if you kill a thing with this, is like one of the biggest tempo swings.
It's huge. Yeah.
in that
imagine
card.
killing your opponent's like Alpha Wildclaw's an awful example, but like Alpha Wildclaw. Can it kill champions? It can, right? Kill their Trundle.
It's
for 2 mana.
follower, right?
Follower.
Yeah, it's follower. Yeah. If it was champion, it would be ridiculous. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's follower for sure. I don't know. If the destroy your own mana thing is good, I think this card's
Also,
an A.
Riot, I'm sorry, why couldn't this card be fast? Like, it would make the front side like ever playable instead of the worst card.
Admittedly, I think that is intentional. I mean,
I
like
do
this
think
card
it's
is
intentional.
completely unplayable if you aren't doing the things. So I think for this card to be good, there need to be enough good effects that are destroying your mana crystals. So whatever, we'll get into some of those effects later, and let's
Right
remember
now,
that
in
this
fact.
card, let's remember that this card exists when we're talking about those effects, because this is in my opinion the biggest payoff for
And I
it.
would like to note, you only have to do it once.
You only have to
you're
do
gonna
it
be behind
once.
for the rest of the game. Like,
Until turn 10.
yeah.
So and
Yeah.
Turn 11.
turn
because
11.
that's
Yeah,
the
turn
that
11.
you
Yeah,
catch up.
absolutely. So
Yeah. Anyway,
I think that this card's going to be an A if destroying your own mana crystals is good, and if it's not, this card will see 0 play.
Yeah.
So it's either an A or an F.
I think it's
yeah,
binary
it's a bucket.
as well.
It's a bucket card.
very much A or F.
Put it in the
There's no
bucket.
way it's ever going to be a C.
Maybe we'll take it out.
Yeah, maybe we'll take it out.
All right, so next card, 4 mana, fast. Right of Dominance says kill an ally or destroy one of your mana gems to give all enemies -2/-0 this round.
So this
ain't it.
Yeah, this is not the one that I wanted. So it's pretty easy to imagine a real blowout with this card, but for the most part, like all of the scenarios I'm envisioning are like
How behind
probably-
on board do you have
probably
to be for this to be good?
probably restricted to Expedition. Like, I mean, if you're in an even board state, like this card would be good
That's fair. Yeah,
for
No,
sure.
it does
I could
break.
easily see eating 2 or 3 creatures.
It
with
does
this card in a
break
reasonable game.
stalemates.
Yeah. But it's only -2, -0. It doesn't affect the toughness at all. It doesn't do damage. Like, this has to meet a lot of thresholds for this one to be good. And you have to sack a mana gem, which could be upside, but like, let's be honest, it's not.
Yeah,
in order to cast this. So I think that I'm gonna need something better to destroy my mana gems than this one. I think.
On second thought, destroying your own land in Magic is, when you build your deck to do it, is frequently just not even a problem in the slightest, right? Like,
yeah, but like compared to Scythe Tiger, like that's a card that is a 1 mana 3/2 that ETB sacks a land, and that card is horrifically unplayable. Like, you need to be doing something good.
Yeah, I think
lands are easier to come by than mana crystals because you can put like 7 into play.
That's fair, though. You do have to draw each individual land in Magic, whereas you don't have to.
Oh, yeah,
isn't
so
a
you're
card.
so destroying your mana crystals never putting you down a card. I actually didn't think about that. That's really important. All right, I think we agreed where this card is.
Yeah, this card's like this card's a C-. I think.
Yep.
It's playable, I guess. Might be good and limited.
yeah, I'm fine to agree with that. Next card, Quicksand, 3 mana burst, give an enemy -4, -0, and disable its keywords, excluding any negative keywords this round. So like a weird kind of Hush.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hush, right?
And
I think it's really good.
I like this card.
I think it's really good. Like, it's very similar to Hush, and it nukes their power.
It nukes the relevant stat. Yeah.
Yeah, this card seems great to me.
It targets champions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing there, for sure.
It doesn't disable all of the text on the card like Hush does, but it disables all the keywords, which is most of the time the relevant text you're trying to get rid of when you're casting Hush anyway.
Yeah,
like
so
when Ezreal attacks you or whatever, like it's still going to do the same thing Hush would.
Pretty notably, it doesn't do the thing where you just like pumped your unit a ton and then it lets you like kill it or eat it in combat.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to kill the unit, but it does take away a similar amount of offensive power.
Yeah, I think that this card is really good and going to see a lot of play in Shurima. Very similar to Hush. I think that this card's like an A-, probably.
A-, B+,
I'm into that.
where I put it too.
Yeah, something like that. Going to see a lot of play, I expect.
It costs 3, right? It costs 3. Yeah.
Same cost as Hush.
Yep. Okay. Next.
Really puts in perspective how good
really
Hush
good
was.
Hush was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Next card is Exhaust. So 1 mana with Focus, and are we confirmed, or we're basically?
We do know what Focus is.
Okay,
yes.
so Focus is just the spell speed of gems.
Yes.
and,
And,
light.
it is a new
live in weapons.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the new
out of combat,
speed.
but burst.
Yes, it's can't be cast in response to anything.
But-
Can't be cast in combat, but is burst outside of that. Same
Yes.
as gems.
So 1 mana Focus. It's called Exhaust. Give an enemy -2, -2, and vulnerable this round. So -2 power and vulnerable.
this card's good too, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with this card too. It's giving -2, -0 and vulnerable. It's similar to like Yeeby Warned, but it's making the unit easier to kill in exchange for giving you a card back. I think that's probably
Focus
better.
versus slow is huge.
Focus versus slow is
Not passing a
huge.
priority there is pretty relevant.
Yeah,
And
you're gonna get to like exhaust your champion, yoink it with my guy, and as an open attack, and it's only 1 mana, like very frequently.
Yeah.
I think this card's really good, and I don't know. This one's like a B+, A- in my head as well.
I don't think we're getting up to A, but I think we're definitely solid B for me.
Yeah, I'd be willing. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a B+. How
Cool.
about you, Hugh?
I don't know. I think it's a B. I don't know about a B+, but it's just that it's a card in your deck. You have to put it in your deck. Unless
pretty fair,
I don't
yeah.
know that we have any card. It's not like a gem where you get to make it. Like, you do have to play this
totally.
in your deck.
That's very true. Yeah, it is. The effect does have to be good for it to be worth a card, but I'm pretty excited to play this one, I think.
Yep. All right. Raz Bloodmane, 7 mana, 6/6 with Fearsome attack. Give enemies -2, -0 this round. I think this card's pretty great.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah, it's huge, and it does
Terror
a really
of the
good
Tides
thing.
is
Sorry, it's a 7 mana 6/6
Yeah.
attack. They get -2.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It's very
The
reminiscent of
Terror
Terror
of
of
the
the
Tides
Tides,
is a blowout.
and that card is a house.
Part of that is that it giving everything fierce, all your sea monsters fearsome means they can't block
Well, yeah.
unless they
and
had 5+ power.
you know,
but yeah,
this should be able to be placed in a deck where you're hopefully at least have some other fearsome creatures or like. And
I mean, and if this card just sits in play and attacks twice, like, are you really gonna like if the second time you attack with this card, are you really gonna lose the game ever?
This card is an absolute bomb
much.
Expedition and probably not good enough for constructed.
That could definitely be true.
That's about where I put it as well, I think. So I'm pretty excited to see where this card ends up. I hope that it sees constructed play. I think it's gonna be really sweet if it does. So
cool. Yeah.
Alrighty. What do we got next? So I think it's a C, basically. I think this card's a C, but it's gonna be a bomb in Expedition, to be clear.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, if we don't give ratings, it's because we all agree, basically. And we'll pipe off if it's different, but yeah.
We're going to do our best to remember to give a rating to every card, of course.
Yeah, next card is just a 1-mana 3/1 and
no text.
No text.
That's strictly better than a Noxus card, which is pretty fun.
Might see play.
Yeah, that's about all I'm going to say about that.
That's a C.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
4 mana, 5/3, Bakai Sand Spinner, play, grant an enemy -1/-0, and vulnerable. So they permanently have vulnerable.
Does it have a keyword? Sorry.
No, I don't think so.
No.
4 mana 5/3 that gives an enemy -1/-0 and vulnerable.
Is the -1/-0 permanent?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Cool.
It seems fine.
Debuff. This is another Expedition card. These are the common cards that are going to be in the set that I don't think are going to end up seeing constructed play.
Yeah, this one's a C again.
We can move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might play it in your mono Shurima deck. It's where I land on a lot of these
lots
Cs.
of C's because we're evaluating these cards for constructed, and that's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. Usually there's not going to be too many standouts.
Yeah. True. Ruthless Predator, 2 mana burst, give an ally +2/+0 and an enemy vulnerable this round. So you buff your guy, one of theirs gets vulnerable. It's kind of a removal spell.
Kind of the reverse of that other thing.
But it's like a 2-for-1 removal spell. Like you probably don't sack your creature.
Yeah, compared to Troll Chant though, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, Troll Chant is insane.
Troll Chant is really
correct.
Good, so it's hard to really compare things to Troll Chant, but I don't know. It's a little awkward because I would like this card to be able to be a 2-for-1, but it can't really be because you have to cast it before you attack in order to get the vulnerable so that you can challenge. So
I think that this card
it gives the plus to the power, right? So it doesn't help your card survive, which is
it doesn't help your card survive.
That's a big part of it not being a 2-for-1.
Exactly.
Yeah. This card's never going to be a 2-for-1, I don't think, and it's really mostly just
I mean you're 2-for-1 yourself.
Oh
yeah. Almost certainly you're 2-for-1ing yourself.
That's what I meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of not a fan of this card.
The point of vulnerable is that you're vulnerabling their Ezreal and killing it with a 3/3.
But hopefully, yes.
I don't really want to put this card in my deck.
Agreed.
Thankfully, because it's Renekton's champ spell, you don't have to.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I was like, why?
It's also a card you can put in your deck.
But I'm not going to put it in my deck. Yeah, but I'm not going to put it in my deck.
Yeah. So Renekton.
So this is our first champion.
Yeah. Renekton, 4 mana. Oh wait, sorry. I almost read his leveled side.
4 mana Tenta.
4 mana 5/5 Overwhelm. Wow, that's really good. 4 mana 4/4 Overwhelm. That's why he starts with Overwhelm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's good.
Anyway, when I challenge an enemy, notably he does not have Challenger.
Well, that last card was an F, by the way.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. When he challenges an enemy.
When he challenges an enemy, give him +2/+1 this round. So he's 4 mana 4/4 with Trample or Overwhelm. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he needs to challenge something, get a buff.
Vulnerable does count. So
vulnerable does count.
Which works with 2 cards that we just talked about.
And he needs to deal 12 damage to level.
Yeah.
So 2 attacks theoretically if you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
And he levels.
This champ's going to be hard to level, I think. He's only a 4/4, and it's not. Even if he becomes a 6/5 and then attacks again, so he gets essentially +2 toughness for 2 attacks, it's going to be kind of hard to line up 2 attacks where he lines up. And if he isn't challenging things, it's going to have to be 3 attacks where he survives. I think that's going to be kind of tricky to do
compared to Shyvana, and he has to do all the damage as opposed to Shyvana, where that is not true.
Yeah,
it's just dragons.
Yeah, it's very comparable to Shyvana, and Shyvana isn't that good. And I think this card's kind of like is worse than Shyvana. So I think that I'm not super excited about Renekton, and maybe all the vulnerable stuff is really good, and Renekton is a good payoff because of that. But
so are you going to C?
Yeah, I think he's a C. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be okay in Expedition. I think he's going to be about as good as like Shyvana, maybe like maybe a little better, a little worse,
he's a little better.
There.
So I'm going to give him a B. I think the trample is huge.
The trample,
the fact that
Overwhelm
you're hitting damage the whole time, and then he's one of those ascended champions that does the thing. So he has what's his leveled side do, Hugh?
His leveled side says attack give me +3/+3. That's the only thing that's
and it's a 5/5.
It's a 5/5.
And loses any challenge related text.
Oh yeah, it just
which
says
is kind of
attack.
odd, but like yeah, it makes sense. It is a strict upgrade on the other ability.
Yeah.
And then his other
ascended
form, his level 3 champion is a 10/10.
Yeah, so 4 mana. It's a 10/10 that says when I block or attack to all enemies and their nexus.
Yeah, so this is just nonsense, obviously.
Yeah, like we're not gonna
Big Anivia kill.
Yeah, if you can flip if you can get a level 3 Renekton, you're gonna win the game. So
Unless they have Vengeance, and then it didn't really do anything.
yeah. So
I think this card definitely levels easier than Shyvana, in my opinion. But other than that, the overwhelm is huge, and
Notably, he is very good with single combat and concerted strike.
yes, I think that this card is most likely to be played with Demacia.
which makes sense. Anyway, he's a 4 mana 4/4 overwhelm, which just by itself is just very solid. And like, if there's a decent aggro deck in Shurima that wants to be playing on a Shurima cards, I think this card's probably going to be played in it. But I like B. I don't want to give this an A.
Yeah, cool. I don't think it's an A by any means.
We are now getting into some Demacia cards, which makes sense.
Excellent. Easier to evaluate. Whew. We needed the little break from the new region.
Yeah, so the first card is just a 1 mana slow, grant an ally +1/+1.
No thanks.
CF. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. I don't know why I said C.
Not
Moving
playable.
on.
Yeah, it's not playable.
The next card is 2 mana 3/2, Honored Lord. The first time I challenge an enemy, give me barrier this round.
So
Do you think that's the first time ever?
I think it's the first time
It
ever.
is the first time ever. And I can't really imagine putting this card in my constructed deck in any reasonable world.
Unless you're easily giving this thing challenger.
It's got some obvious Grand Plaza synergies.
Yeah.
So
And so
that's
does Renekton.
notable.
So
So
does
does
Renekton.
Renekton.
Yeah, I would be very excited about a lot of these cards if Grand Plaza was unnerfed
And in Shurima.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of these cards are going to synergize obviously very well with the Grand Plaza.
Yeah.
This one is no different here. So I think if this card's going to see a home, it's going to be obviously with the Grand Plaza.
Yeah,
But
to be fair, a
outside
lot
of
of
that,
cards synergize with old Grand Plaza.
yeah, that's true. It turns out just eating
The
pigs
next
is
card's
good.
a little more exciting. 4 mana, it's called Golden Aegis. It's a slow spell. Give an ally barrier this round and rally. So 1 extra mana over Relentless Pursuit, but you get to give one of your guys
and prismatic
barrier.
Barrier.
Exactly. So like you mash those cards together.
And it's slow, so it's a much worse combat trick, but it's really good with cards like Fiora. Like we have said multiple times, like Fiora Shurima deck, and it's like seemed fine.
This card, I saw on Twitter somebody talking about this one with Taric, which is sweet. So you get to Golden Aegis Taric, and then you go to combat, and then he Golden Aegises. Right, so you like attack, Taric trigger.
Use the token,
right.
and the trigger
Then
happens.
you
get
Golden
the token
Aegis
back.
your Taric, then you attack, and then Taric, Golden Aegis is a thing, so you get your attack token back. Right, so you're
if
getting
we have Riven in play,
Yeah, you're getting 3
regions
attacks.
don't work, but
yeah, you're gonna get 3 attacks in a turn if you Golden Aegis your Taric. That's
a lot
of attacks, and they're
Wait.
and like every time you get your Taric stuff, like there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Doesn't Taric say? Does Taric say the first time you attack, or does it say when he attacks? Cast the last spell cast on him.
here?
Because if he says when he attacks, isn't this infinite?
I'm pretty sure it's
gated.
it's the first time. I'll read the exact text.
Because,
I know it is gated in some way. I believe it is gated in such a way that you would have to attack with Taric without having cast a spell on him first, and then Golden Aegis your Taric, or you'll end up only getting 2 attacks or something. But
Okay, we'll see in a second.
Pretty obvious synergy, almost regardless.
That's pretty cool.
I like the card. I think I think more often than not, paying the 1 extra mana for that barrier is going to be worth it. Maybe
I agree.
Like I think that
I don't know. I've had Stony Suppressor in play when I had the Rally in my hand, and it does make it a lot worse.
it does. I just
Yeah, no, I think
I don't know.
I think that you're totally right. That it's just totally.
I'm willing to give this a
be
B.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm willing to give this B. I expected to see some constructive play.
I only give a B-, but
Yeah,
same
I was
diff.
like waffling between B- and B, but
Yeah.
it's
All right.
it's somewhere in that area for sure.
Says what?
Taric says, support, give me and my supported ally tough this round. Copy the last spell you cast on only me this round onto that ally.
So doesn't this go infinite?
At a glance.
Interesting.
I don't.
but-
yeah.
Hey, look, it's Splinter Twin.
I just
They have barrier the whole time too. Well, Tarek doesn't keep getting barrier, but he keeps giving the other thing barrier,
which is fine.
And he gets barrier the first time. Wow, this is really good.
Could be really good if that's how that works.
Yeah, if we get infinite attacks.
It also does it on a turn that you don't have to have the attack token.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could be pretty. Could be Splinter Twin.
We'll see how that interaction works.
Runeterra has a tendency to not fully explain how the deep coding of the game works on the cards, and like this might just not work because of how the game is coded.
Yeah, it easily could not work for some reason that we're overlooking. But if it does work, I'm very excited about this card. If it doesn't work, it's probably fine and might see some play in a fair way.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. We should start filtering some of these out. Just for the sake of time, right? We can't.
I'm fine having a
I think we could. I think we can have a longer episode for spoilers. I think we should just go over them.
4 mana, Gallant Rider. 4 mana, 4/4. That says the first time I challenge an enemy, transform me into Vanguard Cavalry.
And Vanguard Cavalry is the 5 mana 5/5 with tough. That is an elite.
Thank you, because I was struggling to figure out what that was.
It's not on there because it's a card that already exists. So
I think this card is not that good. Kind of neat. C.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really think I'm going to put this card in any constructed decks, not reasonably at least.
I usually do play a good amount of Expedition when a set drops. You know, farm out my region.
Pretty stoked about this card in Expedition.
Yeah, I'm playing some Expedition stuff.
This all this challenge matters stuff is just like
kind of weird.
Once again, Grand Plaza here.
It's weird, and I don't think it's gonna be that good.
Yeah, me neither.
I
agree.
There's got to be a lot of ways to turn on challenge, and we are getting a lot of vulnerable, and we're clearly seeing some very intentional synergy between Demacia and Shurima with these new cards. Renekton wants to give things vulnerable. Demacia wants to challenge things. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not super high on all the challenge matter stuff at this point. But
and
maybe I'll play one game against it and realize I was wrong.
I'm willing to put this entire archetype into the bucket of someone can break this, but I have no idea.
See until proven otherwise.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's about where I feel on most of these cards as well.
The next card's kind of exciting. King Jarvan III. So
we'll get to Jarvan IV here in a second.
Yeah, J4's dad. 7 mana, 3/6. Tough. When I'm summoned, draw Jarvan IV.
That's good text.
Yeah. If he's already in play, instead give allies Challenger and Scout this round.
That is a good trigger.
Yeah. So it's a 7 mana 3/6 with tough. Let's start there. The body is bad. Really bad. So it's
very hard to kill.
It's hard to kill, but you also don't care about it. So
at 7 mana, you're probably okay to just ignore the card.
There's let's think about the bar of which a 7 mana creature needs to be playable and constructed, and this does not hit that.
I do not think that this card is good enough if you only count the 7 mana 3/6 tough, play draw Jarvan. That text is not good enough to be playable or even particularly close. I don't think.
None of the boats except Leviathan are playable, and Leviathan is very powerful.
Very good. Yeah. But that second line of text there, if he's in play, grants all allies Challenger and Scout part. Now, that's the part that's a little intriguing because, boy, I can see that just immediately ending the game on the spot.
Because, how much, think of it this way, how much would you pay for a spell, like a 6 mana slow spell, that just said that? Right?
I mean, probably 5 or 6 mana at least.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's fair.
Give
gives
all
it to
allies
himself too,
Scout and Challenger is a really good effect.
You do have to have the attack token, notably.
You do have to have the attack token, and you have to have Jarvan in play already. So
there are a lot of hoops to jump through, and and because of that, I don't see this card being
think
that
it's
good.
Gonna see play.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think that this is going to be a card that I am going to lose to, without a doubt. This is I think a card that isn't that good that I'm going to lose to, and I could see this card being ridiculous for what it's worth.
Oh, one small detail: the last 2 cards, Jarvan and the Gallant Rider, they're both elites, by the way.
Oh yeah, that does matter. Also.
Oh yeah,
elites do matter. But.
Jarvan is that where we're at?
No, yeah, we'll do Jarvan because his champ spell is Cataclysm. Jarvan is a 6 mana 5/3 with barrier. When you attack, pay my cost to summon me challenging the strongest enemy.
I think this card's insane.
I love this card.
I think, I'm just going to say it. I think this card's great. This card is like Risen Mist on crack.
Yes.
And Risen Mist is insane. Risen Mist fundamentally breaks a core rule of the game that in a way that very few other cards can. Like the only other one is like Jury Rig, at least before Jarvan, right? At least off the top of my head, right? So Risen Mist, for those of you that need the reminder, is the 4-mana burst spell, Summon a Mistwraith. It allows you to play a spell that puts a creature into play and attack all before your opponent has a chance to do any actions, anything at all. Jarvan does a similar thing. He has to challenge the strongest enemy, which
I don't think you're sad about.
Is text I would prefer he didn't have. I wish he just had Challenger and I got to pick, obviously, but like that's not a bad thing. He's got Barrier. It's 6 mana. I mean, this card is going to just every time like your opponent has 6 mana, has Jarvan in their deck, and they have the attack token. You're gonna have to think about this card a lot.
Basically, yeah. So the threat of activation is massive.
Insane on this card.
You every time you're passing to a Demacia deck that's hitting 5 mana with the attack token.
It's 6 mana, right?
6 mana.
Oh, 6. Sorry, 6 mana.
Still, like you have to think about this.
It has Barrier by itself, but not Challenger by itself, right?
Correct.
And he comes in challenging it. What's his level up condition and what's his champ spell?
His level up condition is allies have survived 4+ strikes from enemy blockers.
And it sounds like this triggers when he's not in play, which is good.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's always going to get a trigger, almost always going to get a trigger when he comes into play because he's going to challenge an enemy and live because he has Barrier.
It's basically impossible for this card not to be at least a 1/1, right?
Pretty much.
And it's usually going to be a 2/1.
Yeah.
You can frostbite it, but
crazy tempo advantage.
But
like,
then that's still a 1/1.
Yeah.
This card's going to be lethal.
And he doesn't die because he has Barrier.
This card's going to be lethal so often, right? Like where you're just going to go to your turn, like, all right, I'm going to open and, slam this 5/3 that's going to eat your
thing, yeah.
I'm going to lose this card a lot, I think. I'm going to play this card a lot. This is, I think, the best card they've spoiled so far. I think
so.
A+. Yeah.
This card's an A+, and I think it's going to be meta defining. And
we
I think
do
that
need to know
this
what
is
his
the
backside
card
does, and we keep forgetting to say.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about the rest of the card, but yeah,
Right.
just his front side I think is an A+.
So when he flips, when you attack, pay my cost to summon. Okay, that's the text.
Same text.
Round start, create a fleeting cataclysm in hand.
And Cataclysm says?
Cataclysm says an ally starts a free attack challenging an enemy.
Okay, so this essentially, I think this basically means
single combat. It's slow, by the way. It's basically you set up a single combat, but it's technically like real combat.
So like it works with Overwhelm.
Yes.
And
on hit.
And like it would trigger Shyvana.
Yes.
There's,
good with Renekton.
Yeah, this card seems great. Like his backside doesn't seem.
Is that his chance spell as well?
That's
his chance spell as well. The backside doesn't seem that relevant, though. I mean, honestly, no, it is. Like
it's relevant.
just so
the last line of text.
Like,
yes, sorry, I missed this. When I
going.
challenge an enemy, give me Barrier. So anytime he challenges, he's getting Barrier back.
Oh yeah, so he's just eating stuff every time.
It's like Tom Kench, right?
Yeah, he just
makes
flips
one every
Tom
turn,
Kench,
or does he make it?
He makes one every turn. It has fleeting.
turn.
Yeah, it's Tom Kench.
How much does Cataclysm cost?
3.
3? Yeah.
So one more?
This card's
That's fine.
insane. This card's insane.
Awesome.
This is an
All
A+,
right.
and
Moving on.
I think this card
And
is
his stats go up
ridiculous.
to 6/4, right? When you flip him.
Yes.
That's
the
all.
standard +1/+1
All
for a
champions
level up.
except Elise work like that, as far as I can tell.
And Darius.
Who gets +4?
+4, +1.
Yes. I meant that they all get at least +1 toughness.
Got it.
But I didn't say that. So
Okay.
Cool.
Next card. Promising Future. 4 mana, slow. Grant an allied landmark. My countdown completion effect activates twice.
how much is it?
4 mana.
4 mana.
Is a creature? Sorry. I just like
Slow spell.
slow spell. Oh, this card's awful.
I've never been a fan of whatever the tuning fork is in Magic.
Yeah, I think that Strionic Resonator.
That one.
Yeah, I think that this card is probably not going to see play. And if it does see play, it's going to be in some niche weird combo deck that's probably not.
That being
actually
said,
good.
there could be plenty of countdown 1 or 2 stuff. And they
Yeah,
could
but
be
it's
like,
so hard. But
play a thing, play this, and maybe that's good.
Maybe.
yeah, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this card's probably an F.
We can.
I don't really have any desire to play it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good on that for
These
now.
are back to Shurima cards, right?
Yes, we
that
just
was all of Jarvan
we just
stuff.
started another
That was all the Demacia
a
stuff.
block of Shurima.
This is the Talia spoilers, I'm assuming.
I think no. This is the 4 of with predict. that little section of 4 cards. So next card is a landmark, 2 mana, Preservarium. When I'm summoned, draw 1. Countdown 2, draw 1.
Hot take, this card sucks.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think this card sucks.
I mean, you look at it and you're like, 2 mana, draw 2, but it is not that good.
No,
it takes up a spot on your board. I thought that this card didn't sacrifice itself because it was pretty early in the story season and we didn't quite know what Countdown did, and I still thought it was bad.
It is worth noting that if this card is good, it will be because of Talia. I am going to put this card in my Talia decks almost for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine.
Yes.
So I think that... And
she does do landmark matter
Talia
stuff.
does landmark matter stuff. So if this card is good, I think
this
it will
one's
be
like
Talia.
decent to double because it's just like it draws an extra card.
Yeah, I'm not going to put this card in my just in my deck as a value card. I don't think.
To
but
be fair,
I'm
I don't
more
want
than
my
happy
4
to put
mana
it.
slow spell to say draw 1 card.
Yeah,
that one's bad.
Yeah. So
Anyway, next card, 2 mana, 2/3, Aspiring Chronomancer, play, predict. And predict
Look at the top
says
3, put 1 on top.
no, look at 3 random in your
get
deck.
3 random cards in your deck. Choose which card goes on top.
Yes.
Correct. So I think predict is
It doesn't
very
say
powerful.
top 3
No.
It
Why
just says a
not?
random 3
Because it's an online card game. And we can do that.
because of stuff like Omen Hawk and Avorice and Outrider and
Everose and
all
yeah,
of the
stuff
things
like
that
that.
do that.
Yep. So I don't know. I think predict is really good.
I think
as
predict
a
is,
mechanic.
yes, I agree. I
Really
think it's
good.
really,
That's really cool, yeah.
Fixing your deck is generally pretty good in a card game.
Very good.
Obviously, it's not fully fixing your
The
deck,
rest
but
get
it's-
like shuffled in, right?
I assume so.
presumably. I think that predict in general is very good. This is a 2 mana 2/3 that
So
predicts.
it's on rate.
Correct.
Yeah.
That card seems good, and I will probably put that card in my
think it's-
Shurima in my Sundisk deck. I imagine that this card's gonna make the cut because it has to be mono Shurima. I'm probably not gonna play this card outside of that.
Yeah, I
don't think-
think this is constructed playable in the deck that wants it, and if that deck's good, this
Could be
card's
good.
good.
All right, yeah, I agree. It's a C, I think.
I'll give it a C. Okay, I can go C. I was gonna think like low. I like low B. Anyway,
See, for me.
Right around there.
next creature or next card is a 3 mana 3/3 Xenotype Researchers. When I'm summoned, grant 3 random allies in your deck +3/+3.
So this is like trying to go into that predict synergy a little bit, I think, where it's just like hoping that you randomly hit Mise one of these off of your predict, and
Makes
then you
it
get
a
to
little
draw a wicked good card. The 3 mana 3/3 with upside, right? This card's like a C again, I think, right? Like, I don't really think that this card's gonna be the best card in your deck in any deck. Like, it's playable if you want this effect.
It's like
You're gonna have
it's
to
very
want this
similar to
effect.
Avorice and Trapper. It puts power into your deck.
Yep.
But Avorice and Trapper is more consistent, but also costs you a card because this staples it onto another card that you were presumably already wanted to play. Whereas Trapper
Makes you draw the
deletes
1
your
mana
draw.
5/5. Yeah. I don't have anything more to say about this one, unfortunately. Do you think it's ridiculous or something? You got that look, Hugh. You got that look like you're about to say
This card
it's insane.
seems abusable.
I think it's incredibly abusable. I'm
Really?
really excited to try it
Interesting.
out because how easy is it to make a deck where your only creatures are 6 champions, 3 of this card, and like 3 other creatures,
Sure, but then you still have to
That
draw the
should be
creatures.
Starlet Seer.
or something, whatever. It's just like,
But Starlet Seer also does the thing, is my point.
yeah. I just,
ridiculously pumps a unit.
I think, okay, like in a vacuum, probably a C, but like I think
Could be abused.
there absolutely could be a deck here where like we combine this with the thing that draws a champion that gives that +2/+2. Like
some Starlight
we're seeing
Seers
a little bit of a theme of pulling specific cards at specific times, and we may be able to engineer a deck to consistently buff the thing we want and then draw that thing.
and do something ridiculous because of that.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
could
excited to
see
see
that
if that could happen, but for now I'm willing to definitely give this
Cool.
a C.
All right,
Great.
what's next?
I agree.
1 mana 2/2. That's it.
That's a C.
We have a Cythria in Shurima.
That's a C.
Isn't it like strictly better?
No.
No, there's a Demacia one that's strictly better that we didn't talk about.
Yes. This is
Because
just
we
a
haven't
1
gone
mana
yet.
2/2, so it's strictly worse than
What's it
both
called?
Jagged Butcher and Clockling.
Clockling?
Clockling.
Is it? It's not created.
It might be created. I don't see anything that
Does
says.
it have a little rarity symbol?
Oh, you know what? It doesn't. There we go.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense. Okay.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So it's
That
not a
makes
card
sense,
you can play. Something makes it. I don't see what it is yet.
Okay,
We'll get there.
Cool.
I'm sure.
1 mana landmark, Ancient Preparations, play, predict, Countdown 2. Oh, here it is.
Make the clock.
Countdown 2, summon a clockling.
This card's bad.
Yep, I don't want to play this card.
Yeah, I don't want to play this card either.
This is making a 2/2 eventually. It predicts. It doesn't even replace itself. I don't know.
This card's Ponder.
No, it's not.
What? Is it?
Yeah, it is. Instead of drawing a card, it makes a 2/2 in a turn.
It makes.
I'd much rather draw
turn
a card
3.
than make a 2/2.
I'm good. Thanks. I'd rather draw a card.
It's a cantrip. That's all I'm saying.
It's a cantrip, but it doesn't. It's not a cantrip because it draws you a 2/2 that plays it like it draws you a 0 mana 2/2, and it doesn't like it makes you draw the best of 3 cards on your next turn, which is like turn 2. So how often are you really going to know exactly what card you need on turn 2? The game hasn't developed that much. You know your matchup, so that's relevant. And of course, you can make a decision based on that information. But I don't think that you're really going to have enough information to make the best decision every time there, as well as the fact that the card you're drawing is a 2/2, but the 2/2 doesn't come into play until a turn later, so you can't block with it.
Right? It's countdown 2.
Yeah, it's countdown 2, right?
2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
I'm off this. You're gonna get the 2/2 at the earliest on turn 3, where it's probably not relevant. So
Yeah, I'm pretty off this card.
I think this card's an F.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go C because
C minus D
because quote unquote bad landmarks can still be good.
Yeah.
Because of landmark matter synergies.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, fast spell, 2 mana, Ancient Hourglass, obliterate an ally and summon a stasis statue in its place.
And
Stasis statue is a 2 mana landmark with countdown 1. Summon an exact copy of the obliterated unit I replaced. So
this does a couple things.
Saves your unit from removal.
Saves your unit. It also blinks out one of their unit blockers.
Yep.
Like in response to a single combat, it kind of like counters the single combat.
Yep.
You can destroy the landmark it makes on your opponent's thing. Which makes that not happen. But it also lets them destroy your landmark. But perhaps most importantly, it lets you put 2 of the same champion in play.
Yes, with the 4 mana slow
Wow,
spell.
I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need the 4 mana slow spell.
You can just make it a statue and then play the champion.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you can. I was thinking
That's really cool.
I was thinking this could be the thing that makes the 4 mana slow spell like actually good.
Oh, that's
also
fair.
true.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
I think that this card's gonna see play and it's gonna be good.
Oh, I think this card's just good. Period.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like a weird glimpse.
It's weird and needs some synergies to be good, but I expect that those synergies will be good.
Trigger summon effects too. Like it just does the ephemerate thing.
it just seems valuable.
Blink a card.
It's never. It can't. This card can't really be bad, right?
I don't really think
Imagine I play pick a card and then you kill my TF and then I make it come back next turn.
It's always gonna. It's always gonna find some form of value.
Yeah.
I think that this card's gonna have an application in almost every game that you draw.
It can reset damage too.
Yeah. I think this card's like a B plus probably.
All right.
I expect to see it played and constructed.
Next
B+.
card is 3 mana burst. Unraveled Earth says summon 2 Rolling Sands, draw 1. And Roiling Sands. Roiling Sands is a 2 mana landmark that says when an enemy is summoned, destroy me to grant it vulnerable.
Yeah. So this is the vulnerable synergy and a landmark synergy, which is kind of
replaces itself.
It draws a card?
It draws a card. Summon 2 of these things, draw a card.
For 3 mana?
For 3 mana. So I think this card's very reasonable.
Yeah, totally. It's burst speed too, which you can't play it in response to creatures, but you just get these out there.
It's like you have the attack token. It makes them developing a board when you have the attack token very awkward.
Yeah, definitely.
It puts them in that position of
really
I have
awkward.
a Fiora and you don't want to play units, but I can keep passing to make you play units. There's some things you can do there.
Yeah, interesting.
I think that this card is going to see play. Probably.
I think so too.
I don't think it's an all-star or anything, but
so it's a B.
I think that this card's probably like a B minus, and it's probably going to see some amount of constructed play, assuming that
landmarks matters is playable.
It helps level Talia.
It's a B.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, cool. Moving on.
Next one is also a landmark. Salt Spire, 4 mana.
Oh yeah, we got a new favorite card name. I think Salt Spire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote that one a lot. I think.
4 mana, countdown 2. Summon a Grumpy Rock Bear, which is just a 5/4.
It's a 5/4.
5 mana, 5/4.
5 mana, 5/4. Then if you've summoned 4+ landmarks this game, grant the strongest ally +2/+2.
So with Talia, it makes some big boys. It's pretty neat.
This one seems kind of underwhelming to me.
Agreed.
It's just it's
4
just
mana for countdown 2.
4 mana. It's countdown
Not
2.
doing anything until turn 6. If you don't have the attack token until turn 7.
This card is absolutely awful if you don't get the landmark trigger effect, and if you do, it's probably still not worth it. This is about I think that this is the last landmark that I'm going to put in my Landmarks Matter deck when I go to make it.
Like, I get that kind of below rate landmarks are like a thing that they're trying to do,
but these ones are the lowest rate.
And like all landmarks
This one is the
baseline
worst
do
rate.
not affect the board, and none of them affect the board immediately. They all have countdown. So
yeah,
it's 4 mana.
Imagine you play this and your opponent plays a 5/4 plays like a Trifarian aggressor, like the 3 mana 5/4 that can't block. Like, you're just gonna die. While you spend your mana on things that don't block.
Any aggressive.
Yeah,
deck is just
creature.
Gonna laugh maniacally.
It doesn't need to be that
play this.
kind of bad creature. Yeah, just a creature.
Yeah, there are cards where you can take a turn off, but this doesn't feel like one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
this card's not going to catch you up later. Like,
Yeah, cool.
I think this card's an F. I don't even want to play it in my Landmark Matters decks.
Okay, F. Moving on.
Next card, Rockhopper, 2 mana 3/1. When I'm summoned, summon a Roiling Sands.
This card's totally fine.
Yeah,
It's like super reasonable. Summons a landmark, gets the thing vulnerable.
hopefully eats one of their creatures.
Compares unfavorably to Hired Gun. Hired Gun is pretty efficient, so I'm going to give this card a C.
Yeah, I would give Hired Gun a B, so I think this card's probably a C.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Next card is Desert Naturalist, a 4 mana 2/4. Play, destroy a landmark. If it's allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear.
Yeah, so it can trade one of your things into a 5/4, and then it can also a landmark removal on a 4 mana 2/4. I'm into this card.
Yeah, this one I think I'm into. It
Kills the Moon Temple.
Yeah, it kills the Veiled Temple. It's landmark removal. We want landmark removal. It also sometimes upgrades your own landmarks into a relevant creature if that's in the matchup where that matters. I think this card's quite good, probably. Maybe not. Maybe quite good is an overstatement, but I expect this card to be a relevant role player in Shurima decks, particularly like the Sun Mono Shurima deck. I expect this card to make an appearance. Probably going to see play alongside Talia. Yeah, probably a C.
I like C.
Yeah.
Next card, 3 mana 2/4. Psy Scout. Play, predict. If you pick a landmark, grant me elusive.
That card's really good.
This card's good, I think. Yeah. So
You have to put a lot of landmarks in your deck to reasonably do it.
yeah, you're not going to hit. I don't think that you're ever going to build your deck in such a way that you're going to hit consistently. But 3 mana 2/4 predict already is like, if you don't hit a landmark, it's fine ish. You know, it's still got a reasonably big butt. It's going to be fine against aggro. I think that in general, the 2/4 body is going to be, it is about the size that I want for a body on turn 3 usually. So I'm reasonably happy with this card. I expect it to see some amount of play, but probably not a whole lot.
I don't like this card.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't. I just don't.
That's fair. Yeah, when it gets elusive, it's good.
I think the only way it's good is it a good thing to put predict on, and it's going to be good because predict is good, not because predicting a landmark is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're not going to hit the landmark thing all that often. So if you need a 3 mana 2/4 with predict, this card's probably going to be fine. And if you ever get the elusive bonus, that's going to be nice. So
The next card is a 2 mana landmark called Hibernating Rock Bear. Countdown 3. Summon a Grumpy Rock Bear.
This card is much better than the other one.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
You can think of
much
this
better.
as a Magic players can think of this as a suspend 3 Rock Bear, for like 5/4. So like for 2 mana, like that one's decent. This one's decent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is worth noting that copying this one is way worse, unless it copies how countdown it's already been.
I think it does.
I'm not going to pretend to know. I have no idea.
I would guess yes, but obviously I also don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. This card's better. I could see this one seeing play for sure. It's gonna end up turning into a 5/4 on turn 5, right?
This is one of those cards. There's just like this when it counts down, you're fine with you're happy and you're not that sad about playing it on 2. Like,
yeah, you aren't gonna have a huge tempo loss when you play it on turn 2, right? Like, and you can usually fit it into your, maybe like turn 5 or 6, right? You can fit it into your curve pretty easily because it's cheap, which is not true of like the 4 mana one. So
yeah,
I'm pretty happy with this card, and I expect this card to be one of the first ones you put in your like Landmark Matters Talia decks.
Totally.
Yep. Next card, 1 mana burst.
1 mana burst.
Shape stone. Give an ally +1/+1 this round. If you summoned a landmark, give it or if you've summoned a landmark this game, give it +3/+1 instead.
And that +3/+1 is permanent.
I don't think that's true.
Think so.
No, it's not.
I don't think so.
No, it's not.
Never mind. This card sucks.
I think this card's really bad. Yeah, I don't want to play this card. One, it's like Radiant Strike Plus, and Radiant Strike is not that good. And the thing that I want about it's not.
It doesn't.
The 2 extra power does not make Radiant Strike that much better. I don't think.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm definitely going to give this a C regardless, but like I could see this seeing play in Constructed.
In Constructed, interesting. It would have to be very aggressive, I think, in order to want to see play in Constructed, and I don't think that lines up very well with the landmark thing. So
I agree with that, and
that's mostly the big problem here. Is that like in order for this to see play, you're going to have to be able to get the +3/+1 consistently, and you're going to have to want that, which means I think you're going to have to be an aggressive deck, and in order to be an aggressive deck, you probably aren't really going to want very many landmarks. So I think that I'm not going to play this card, and this card's an F.
Okay, so the next card is Talia.
Excellent.
5 mana, 2/4. So not off to a good start.
Yeah, that's a bad start.
Play, summon an exact copy of an allied landmark. And
exact makes me think it copies the countdown number.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Another. And she levels up when you've summoned 5+ landmarks.
And then her level up side.
Yeah,
3/5.
Yes, and she has attack, deal 2 to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. If you have a landmark, do this 2 more times.
Yes.
Okay.
So kind of a Nivea.
Kind of like a Nivea. So what do you guys?
To one target.
Yeah, totally.
Do you guys think this card is good? I'm curious.
I
this
think
one's hard to
This
evaluate.
one's really hard because her non-flip side feels so bad, right? Like a 5 mana 2/4.
Yeah, you really need to get a lot of value out of that.
And I think you might be, but I think that you might potentially be flipping her on turn 5.
Oh, and that's the thing. I think she's incredibly easy to flip if you build around it. I mean, just Roiling Sand, the 3 mana burst spell, make 2 Roiling Sands. That's just
like if you're in a Mono Shurima deck,
you're 40% of the way there.
On 1, you played one of the ones on 2 that either makes the Grumpy Rock Bear or draws 2 cards. Then you play Roiling Sands to 4, and then this is 5.
It's
pretty
easy. Not that hard.
You also still have 4 mana after all of that in your first 5 turns, which is not a lot to be impacting the board with, but it's at least something.
Yeah, you can maybe.
It's not nothing. Like going full in on leveling this champion and still have some mana to do something with is like
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Her flip side feels very strong.
Very good. Yeah.
Like that,
worth
that
doing,
trigger is
really a lot.
Yes.
Especially if you have the Sun Disc, like she's always going to have that trigger.
She's never not killing the thing that blocks her.
And she's good with the Sun Disc because she takes 10 counters off of it.
And her trigger that deals damage overwhelms.
Yeah, it goes to Nexus.
It goes to Nexus. It doesn't just shoot the empty creature space. It will shoot the Nexus, which is the only reason. If that didn't happen, I would think she's just bad. I think.
Interesting. I think this card's pretty good, and is the reason that.
The only reason
I'm trying to struggle to say this is the only reason I think a lot of these landmarks are good.
Yes,
as well.
I think these landmarks are buoyed by the existence of this card, which is kind of the point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
One thing that I also think is good. Her champ spell is Stone Weaving, which is a 1 mana burst spell that says look at 3 random landmarks you can afford, pick 1 to create in hand. So I think this might not be region restricted.
I think it's cross region.
Yeah. So it's like just kind of anything.
Yes.
But this card is actually made a lot worse by bad landmarks existing, because before they were all like pretty powerful, but it's a lot worse when there's like a 2 mana 1 that makes a 5/4 in 3 turns. That makes this card way worse.
But also a lot of the bad landmarks are from this set. So like, yeah, that were like, I get
the pool getting diluted matters with bad landmarks. So I don't know. Her Stone Shaping is a card that you're going to cast though. So like that's a reasonable champ spell.
I honestly like Stone Weaving
or Stone Weaving. Yeah. Like I'm not going to put Stone Weaving in my deck, but I will probably cast Talia's Stone Weaving at some point, and it's going to be fine.
We think Talia's like a B.
I think that she's a B+. I think that her card is good. And I think that if she's bad, she's going to be held back by the cards around her, not her.
Okay.
That's my immediate review of Talia.
She is so unbelievably dependent on the cards around her.
Yeah.
Like more so than Riven, kind of like
way more than Riven.
Yeah, because Riven was, I think, one of her biggest problems was the Reforged cards being kind of just meh.
Yeah, totally. They're not very good. But yeah, this one, a lot of these landmarks have some promise. If they end up being bad, then Talia's probably going to be bad. But I hope she's good. She seems really cool.
Yeah. Now we're getting some Freljord cards.
Excellent.
And this is the home stretch of...
Yeah, we're almost done. This has been a pretty long episode, so thanks you guys for sticking here with us.
Yeah,
but,
and
this is the last set of like 9 cards, I think.
Yeah. We get to start with Lysandra, who is the champion previewed today. She is a 3-mana, 2/3 with tough. This is, I'm going to say this before I read it, the weirdest card I've ever seen.
This one's weird.
When I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall, which is a
landmark
with a landmark that says countdown 8, summon a Frostguard Thrall. And what that is,
an 8/8.
Is an 8-mana 8/8 with trample that you cannot put in your deck. With overwhelm that you cannot put in your deck. Then she has level up. You've summoned 2+ allies that cost 8+. When I level up, create a Watcher in hand. Watcher is a 17-mana 11/17. I cost 0 if you've summoned 4+ allies that cost 8+ this game. Attack, obliterate the enemy deck. And then her flip side says your Nexus is tough. Very weird text. When I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall, which we already knew. And then round start, create a fleeting 0-cost Ice Shard in hand, which is, if you're counting, the fourth weird card that she creates. Yeah, which is Ice Shard is a 3-mana fast, deal 1 to everything. And then that is also her champ spell? No.
It's her champ spell is Lysandra's Frozen Tomb.
Is Entomb. Lysandra's Entomb, which is a fast spell that is 5 mana. Obliterate a unit and summon a Frozen Tomb in its place. Create a Lysandra in your deck. And the Frozen Tomb is a 0-mana landmark. Countdown 2. Summon an exact copy of the unit I obliterated.
All right, so if you guys need to rewind that, we'll be here. We'll wait for you. You might want to listen to all that again.
Yeah.
My God. Okay, so I'm just going to start with, I think this card is not that good.
Yep. I think this card's
unfortunately.
Yeah, I think this card's a C.
I'm gonna look at this on my. I need to like.
You might need to read that one again.
Again.
Okay, so basically, here's the relevant parts of this card. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with tough that summons a landmark that in 8 turns is going to make you an 8/8. That's the front side of this card. I don't think that is good. But like, I guess I don't think that card is good. I don't know. When I look at Lysandra compared to other 3-mana champions, I'm looking at cards like Draven. Mostly Draven, Ezreal, stuff like that. I don't think Lysandra is nearly as potent as controlling the early game as those two champs are. I don't think she's as good of a late game threat as like Trundle or Tryndamere, which are the obvious cards that I think she is contesting for that slot with. So I think that Lysandra's probably not that good. There's a lot of cute stuff I've seen with like a Spectral Matron and the Watcher or whatever. We're like trying to cheat Watcher into play that people on Twitter have been pretty excited about. I'm off all that. I don't think any of that's going to be good.
You can kind of do it with Targon's Peak, but Targon's Peak works against Lysandra's level up because it makes your expensive cards
cost 0.
Cost 0, so they don't trigger her. She's just a 3-mana 2/3 champion that you have to usually spend 16 mana to level up. Because 2 things that cost 8+.
And she only costs 3, and like
she's good with Trundle. She's good with Trundle because you play her, and then the Ice Pillar is really good.
But the problem is like, okay, so you're gonna play her with either Trundle or Tryndamere, almost certainly in my head, and then like, okay, but like, what other 8+ like cards are you casting in these decks? You know. Yeah. Like that's really the problem in my mind.
For Lysandra, they have to be allies. You cannot cast Voice of the Old Ones.
No, like you need to put an 8-mana creature in your deck that isn't Tryndamere.
I mean,
which one is
the
it?
idea is the Frozen Thrall, and then she has a support card that is a 5-mana 4/5 that says when I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall. Round end, if the countdown is
of any frozen thralls 4 or less, advance them to 0.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts it in half.
And that is big because, like, I don't think the frozen thrall is just not really going to impact a normal game. Like, that comes in on turn 11. So I think you're going to have to do something. There's no way the Lysandra you play on turn 3 is going to be alive on turn 11 to see this frozen thrall hatch and then flip and now we're winning the game. Like, no way. If your Lysandra's been in play for 8 turns already, it's either completely irrelevant
It's also been taking
or you already won the game.
It's also been taking up a board space the
taking
whole
up
time.
a slot the whole time. I don't know. The more I talk about this card, the less I want to play it. Like, I think that someone's going to have to show me the way with this card, but I think this is like a C-.
I was so excited when I read this card because I was just like, there's
It's giga sweet.
So much
so
weird.
Sweet.
There's so many weird things going on with this card, and I am like,
It also like creates the thing that pings everything and has tough and gets your Nexus tough.
Synergy. But
I love
it's such
Ice
a
Shard.
weird card for her to make too. But by the time she's flipped, it one to
Entomb is
everything.
such a
Is that
good
even
champ
relevant?
spell, I think.
Entomb is neat. It's that other spell that we talked about, but 5 mana. Oh, but that countdown thing might not be able to hit your opponents. That Hourglass from Shurima might not be able to hit your opponent's stuff.
Pretty sure it is. But
Okay, I'll go check.
regardless.
I think if I can find a way to make this card playable in my head, I will win a gold medal in mental gymnastics.
I agree. I agree.
I'm going over. I'm going.
What do we do?
I'm just trying to think of things, and I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see her taking either Trundle or Trinimir spot and feel the rush, and that's I think the home where she would find. And I don't think that's gonna happen.
I think currently
so.
in this 2 minutes, my brain is entirely too
Just
smooth
fried.
to like try and do
No
this
way.
right now. I need to like this is like a I go home and like spend like 3 hours staring at the screen with a card pool.
Oh yeah,
like,
I feel like I could like write a thesis on how to put Lysandra into a deck or whatever by the time I felt prepared.
I will say I want this card to be good.
Oh, I really
I
want it to be good.
Lysandra
Hard to
to be
agree there.
good.
Yeah. All right. So, Noble Deep, you have anything else you want to add to Lysandra? Or are you just like you're just not excited either?
Yeah, I'm not really excited. Yeah. Yep.
I'm so excited. This is firmly going into the bucket of please God break this.
We'll put her. She's definitely a bucket.
She's definitely a bucket
card.
champ for sure. Going in the bucket.
Yeah, the Ancient Hourglass is obliterate an ally and summon a stasis statue in its place.
That is a
I knew there was
very
different than this.
relevant detail that I somehow missed.
And then another
Sorry
thing,
about that. I'm sure we've already gotten a million comments about it.
Yeah. If we're recording this live, we would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's
Twitch
written
chat
it
would
down
have
to talk
gone
about it later.
gone
Yeah.
off.
Gone off. Yeah.
We did miss a Demacia card. Penitent Squire is a 1-mana 2/2.
Wow, that was a huge card. I remember seeing that card.
When I'm summoned, if you behold an elite to create a Tattered Banner in hand, Tattered Banner is a 1-mana burst spell that says the next time you summon an ally this round, grant it Challenger. So it's a huge enabler for all that challenge stuff. And a strict upgrade over Cythria if you don't care about the elite type.
Yep.
So that's neat.
I think that card's
like,
really good,
yeah,
by the
B.
way. like a B+ even. Like
I mean-
that card is just really good. Yeah. It's not like an all-star or anything. It doesn't shine that far above the rest of the field, but it is insane how important having relevant 1-drops is in your aggressive decks, especially in this game. I think it's one of the biggest reasons why discard aggro continues to be like a very explosive and continues to be the most aggressive, most explosive aggro deck in this game is because it has the most explosive 1-mana turns, and like just improving your turn 1 goes so far to your win rate in aggro decks that I think this is a big upgrade.
Is the challenge thing fleeting, or does it just make the card?
It just makes the card.
Is this an upgrade? Do we take Fleet Feather Tracker out of Scouts for this?
Probably, yeah.
Like that seems
This card's great.
It
I mean,
only
maybe
does
not
the
but,
trigger
like,
if you behold an elite.
okay. There we go.
I mean, like this card's great. I think this card's great.
I still think the card's good, but now I'm
You definitely take Cythria out for this because you have an elite or two in your deck. And
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
They don't care about Cythria being elite. It's weird because
Or you keep Cythria because you want the redundancy, but like maybe not.
And that Cythria is an elite.
Is
So
an
it
elite.
turns this card on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 3 more cards to talk about.
Alrighty, let's fire them off.
These are all Freljord cards. We jumped around a little bit there. Sorry, I didn't name Draklorn Inquisitor is the name of the
The 5/4
Lysandra
4/5 that counts down the thralls
Yeah,
faster.
totally. So there's Blighted Ravine, which is a landmark. When I'm summoned, heal your Nexus 4. countdown 1, deal 2 to everything.
How much does this
4
cost?
mana.
4.
4 mana. So this is a 4 mana, heal my Nexus 4. On the next turn, deal 2 to everything.
Yeah, I think it's like Avalanche with Suspend, but you can't spend spell mana on it, which is really bad. It hits, but it heals you 4, which is pretty good.
I just can't imagine putting this card in my deck over Avalanche. It might become Avalanche copy number 4 if the meta ever moves to such a position where Avalanche number 4 is a card
but
you
it
want.
also doesn't punish when they have the attack token and choose to develop at all.
Okay, and they see it coming. I don't think I'm gonna play this card. If Avalanche number 4 or more is a card that you really want in your deck for some reason, then I think this card is the answer, I guess. But I think it's much worse.
Yeah,
I think it's probably enough.
Hugh, you have anything to say about it?
I also think it is probably. I'm trying to think of a place for this. I don't see it. I can't think
it's
of
in
anything.
the same region as Avalanche. I mean, if it wasn't in the same region as Avalanche, I think it'd
be a different
playable,
story.
But like, I just can't imagine playing this card instead of Avalanche.
Then there's Cold Resistance, 5 mana burst spell. Get an empty mana gem and grant an ally +0/+2. So it's kind of a weird twist on Catalyst of Aeons.
This card I like.
I like this card a lot, honestly.
Yeah, it's giving an ally +0/+2. Is that permanent? The
Yes,
+0/+2?
grant.
Instead of heal your
life.
Nexus 3,
Or
which
being
is
a 0/3 in the case of Weirding Stones.
yeah, which is absolutely going to be better than gain 3 life a certain amount of the time. So I expect that even if this card isn't strictly bad, it isn't better than Catalyst of Aeons on a whole. That most ramp decks are probably going to play 1 to 2 copies of this,
To be the 7th and 8th ramp spell. It does make that more consistent with Weirding Stones.
or you might just play 2 Catalyst of Aeons on 1 of this card. Just because that split ends up being more optimal.
I
think
this
that
card better in general.
Or you want to cut Weirding Stones because
it can die.
Yeah, it can die.
Totally. That's totally reasonable too. I think this card's good and is going to see constructed play. I'm not certain the numbers at which these ramp decks are going to want these mana generation effects, but it turns out that they could just want the 6, 7 through 9 of ramp effects.
And I will note that it is much worse than Catalyst of Aeons when your mana gem is full. Gain 3 can actually keep you alive, and this card doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Cool. And then if you're playing it on turn 3, you need to have played a 1-drop before that to get value out of its trigger, whereas as opposed to Catalyst of Aeons. So,
I think it's probably
I think this card is a low C. But if you think, and then
I think it's probably a C, and it's worse than Catalyst of Aeons. But the fact that it's more redundant mana acceleration is very relevant.
I would like to. Okay, the last card is 3 Sisters. It's a 1 mana burst spell. It says create a fleeting Flash Freeze, Fury of the North, or Entomb in hand. So Entomb is Lissandra's champ spell. Flash Freeze is
3 mana Frostbite and enemy,
and then
Frostbite
Fury of the
unit.
North is Sejuani's
4 mana, 3/3/+4.
Yeah, and I think this is flavored. Those are the 3 Sisters, those champions.
Yeah.
And they're like leaders of 3 tribes in Freljord.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Really cool flavor card. Really good card.
I think this card's an A.
I really like this
I
card.
actually 100% agree. I thought I was going to come in and call this card an A and I was going to get looks.
Same.
But yeah, I agree. I think this card's an A. The versatility here is insane. You get to pay 1 extra mana only.
It's
to
removal
be able to,
or 2 combat tricks, both of which can end up being removal by virtue of how
of
combat
the
tricks work.
resistance. Yeah, and you get to pick the best one every time. This card's great. Like,
It's a charm. It's a charm from Magic.
yeah,
like
it's,
a 3-modal
it's just
card.
so good. Yeah. I think this card is,
And it's only 1 extra mana.
yeah, do not underestimate the versatility on this card. I think this card's really good and I'm very excited to play
And
it
it's
in
like
my
2
Freljord
spells
decks.
for Lee Sin, Fizz, and Burblefish, which
And Veiled Temple.
yeah,
That's a whole
Freljord
lot of
doesn't
not
play
nothing.
these, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, if this card wasn't in Freljord, it would be really, really good. I think that Freljord is like maybe the worst region for this card to be in, unfortunately, but I still think this card is really powerful. So I'm very excited about it.
Okay, after that monster of a section.
Whew. All right. That was a lot of cards, a lot of talking.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this set to drop.
Totally
Man,
let
this
us
isn't
know in the
all of them.
comments if you want us to do this with every card forever, if you never want us to do this again, and it was awful, which I hope isn't true. But
Yeah.
valuable feedback.
Normally,
for sure.
we
Maybe
don't
just
get
pick and
this
choose.
big of a dump in such an inconvenient time frame.
Because we also had seasonal to talk about, and then last week we had all seasonal. Were there spoilers then? there a couple?
I think there might have been a couple, but not as many. Regardless, this is a big chunk. So yeah, let us know.
We should move on.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about these chunks, and let's get on to our viewer questions. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's start with our question of the week. This is going to be a nice, fun break here. Yeah. This one comes from Dustin in the Discord. They ask, "What was your first deck in any card game that you fell in love with?" All right, Hugh. What do
you want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this one, thankfully, was easy.
I think this one was easy for everyone.
I hope so.
It was easy, really easy for me.
Yeah, see, Noble, I felt like might waffle a bit, as he tends to do. But anyway, Splinter Twin.
From
Magic the Gathering, Splinter Twin.
Such a good answer. It's a classic.
The list, this is the deck that got me into Modern and made me actively take my collection, trade into Modern playables. Patrick Dickman won a GP with this list. It was different from most lists at the time. It was more tempo oriented instead of like going really hard into drawing the combo. And he won the GP with it. I saw the list. I was like, I want to play that deck. Yeah. That's the deck. I found it. Like, there it is. I'm not going to go so far as to recite the entire list and sideboard for you, but I probably could because of how long I played this deck and how excited I was to play it at the time. And I played it until the moment that tragedy struck and Splinter Twin
fateful day
got banned, and I quit playing Modern for quite some time. I eventually came back for a little bit, but it
was a long break. Yeah,
lost a customer, Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, the magic was forever lost. Pun actually genuinely not intended,
but excellent pun.
Yeah, nailed it.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead, Noel.
So actually, mine is a Modern deck too, and I was just kind of thinking about why that is. There are a lot of standard decks that I really like. Rally the Ancestors being one that I like fell in love with, but and like Sacrifice in general, decks in general, but they're a little more ephemeral than Modern decks because Modern's an eternal format. You can play it for years and years. So I got into this. There was this guy at my game store that was like one of the more competitive players, and he taught me about these two pretty spicy decks, and he had had constructed both of them, and I played both of them a lot, and I bought both of them eventually from him. Maybe he was just scared.
You got us the longest con.
Yeah, and the first and less good of these is like blue-white fairy dragons.
That does sound bad.
Yeah, it's like a
awful.
blue-white tempo deck that plays 2 Mutavaults to turn on and 2 Ojatais, and is playing Silumgar's Scorn as counterspell that you can like activate Mutavault with itself to play as cancel.
Yeah.
And Spell Stutter Sprite. The amount of times I Spell Stutter Sprited my opponent's 2-drop with a Spell Stutter Sprite in play, they bolted it and I activated my Mutavault. Insane.
That's so good.
So good. They just like did a double take. This was when Infect was the best deck in Modern, and Spellstar Sprite is really good against Infect. So that deck was super sick. It also played Ojatai and Minamo in Modern. So untapping the Ojatai. So man, this deck had so much spicy stuff going on.
This is a relic of the past.
It was playing Cryptic Command. Like it was the full package. Celestial Colonnade. Like, and then the other one that is a little better was Breach Titan. Just played Through the Breach.
Probably a lot better.
4 Through the Breach.
To be clear.
4 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. 4 Primeval Titan. 4 Summoning Trap. 4 Search for Tomorrow. 4 Secure Tribe Elder. Trying to go Ramp Spell on 1, Ramp Spell on 2, Through the Breach Titan 18U. Or Ramp Spell on 1 or 2, 4-drop on 3, Through the Breach on 4. And was just really good. It was like main decking Spellskite and Anger of the Gods in the Twin era.
Oh, God.
And the Summoning Trap. Oh, God. I won an unwinnable game against a Twin player because I played Securus Tribe Elder. They remanded it, and I slammed Summoning Trap for Emrakul. And then they scooped. But they were on the play, so they could have just Deceiver Extra tapped it and then killed me. So I don't know what they were scooping for.
They were just tilted.
They were just tilted off the face of the earth.
We found the line. All right. For me, my answer is not a Magic deck, but is a Hearthstone deck. I played Hearthstone before Magic. Is Miracle Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
This one's way old. We're talking
like OG.
Original release of Hearthstone before any expansions came out. Miracle Rogue, You got your Leroy Jenkins. So basically the deck was
Leroy.
it was a 1 mana. It was a 1-turn kill deck. It was the first one that Hearthstone had ever seen, the real combo deck. It used Gadgetzan Auctioneer, which said whenever you play a spell, draw a card, and its goal was legitimately to play every spell in its deck in 1 turn and kill you. And it was really hard, so much fun. I spent days, weeks, months optimizing play patterns with this deck. I remember talking with friends.
Sounds like KCI, honestly.
It was quite a bit like KCI. Well, I mean, the actual combo was different, but like, I remember spending weeks in calls with other top players at the time, trying to like theory crafting optimal lines, talking about Miracle Rogue plays, because at every point in the game you had 8 or 9 or 10 cards in your hand, right? So the decisions were incredibly meaningful, really hard. I love that deck. It got nerfed and it doesn't exist anymore, sadly. But that was the first deck.
Neither of my decks got nerfed.
My deck got banned.
Yeah. My deck got banned too. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Alrighty, moving on here. Our next question comes from Dragon. They ask, with Focus being a new official speed with the Shurima expansion, do you think there are spells in the current card pool that could be changed to Focus speed?
I think that could be. I would be shocked if they did. I think they're obviously going to do it to gems and like the things that literally
have focus.
I think that there are things that could be. I don't think that they should retroactively change cards that heavily. They might want to change cards as nerfs to focus or as like side buffs or redesigns.
Side grades or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to like base do it, if that makes sense.
I agree with that take.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think there are some slow spells that could be focus.
Maybe
like Yibi
as a buff
would make it a lot better.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
But there are a lot of burst spells that give vulnerable with Shakedown and also other ones. Yeah.
Alrighty. This one comes from Carinol. They ask top 5 champion level up cinematics and bottom 5 as well. So let's.
Oh gosh.
Let's go for the.
We should have thought about this one ahead of time.
I mean, number one's Teemo, right?
Teemo is
bottom 5. Agreed.
Bottom 5 for sure. I've got easily the worst one.
Definitely the best one in the game.
What's easily the worst one?
Trundle, because it always lags, and it is the only champ spell, and it does it on every computer. Like lags on my phone, it lags on my computer, it lagged on my old computer. I've seen it lag on Noble's computer. I don't know what it is about Trundle, but that animation lags every computer.
I think you two are cursed. I don't know what you're talking about.
You've never seen it? I see it a lot. I see the Trundle slideshow every single time I see that champion level up.
Okay.
Other than that, it's pretty good, but
all right. Here are some of my favorite classics. Ready?
I've never seen the Vladimir animation, so that one's probably pretty bad.
I have seen it a lot, actually.
Of course you have.
It's been played against me, okay?
Okay. Fiora, really like.
I think Fiora's is excellent. Yeah.
It's like clean. It's not too busy.
So
it's just like boom. Twisted Fate. It's just so satisfying.
Twisted Fate's
bam, bam.
Twisted Fate is easy
bam.
number 1. I think.
Yeah,
Twisted Fate's the best one.
As a real answer,
Love
I
the Twisted
agree.
Fate animation.
It's also the sound he makes when he
So
snaps the
good.
cards.
Just-
oh my god!
Everything about
It's
it is
so
phenomenal.
satisfying. You're like, my opponent let me flip the Twisted Fate. The game is over, and then the cinematic's playing, and you're like, woo!
Also,
Yeah, you get the music.
Real quick, the tragic nerf to pick a card of no longer having that snapping sound when you cast it. Why did they do that?
Why I didn't notice that they did that.
They did that.
I don't listen to the
Horrid.
sounds.
Just horrid.
God, Noble.
I played on my phone for so long,
That's fair.
but like I listen to them on my thing now.
Yeah.
What are some other really good ones?
I am a
Garen sucks.
Yeah, Garen's sucks.
Yeah, Garen's is
Isn't
so boring.
I really quite like Tryndamere. I really like the music that plays when Tryndamere levels up. I think it's really good.
Tryndamere is good. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's
yeah,
intense.
for sure.
weird. These other ones, the new ones they're releasing are insane.
The
Oh my God,
Renekton one
Renekton's is
wild. Mind blowing.
nonsense.
It's so
And
sweet.
there's 2 of
he
them.
he kills like 3 guys in the 2-second level up animation. He like kneecaps a guy, beats him over the head, like
And then like cuts another dude in half.
in
off
half,
screen.
like with ease, and then like looks at some other poor soul
And just
laughs
roars
at
in
him,
his face.
and he just dies. It's like, oh, uh-oh. maybe this is a problem.
Renekton's definitely a top 5 going to be for sure.
Yeah, I think
all the
Aurelion Sol
Ascendeds are
top
just a
5.
freebie. Like you can't like.
Yeah, probably they might not
Ace
count.
Souls? Oh, it does the.
Yeah, with this, I really like the whole space thing, and
I'm not a fan of ASOLs personally.
it's fair. I don't. I'm really biased towards space stuff in general. I think
Zoe's
it's really
is
cool,
sick.
So.
I love Zoe's.
I really like
satisfying.
Zoe's. It's insanely tilting.
Yeah.
All right. Those ones come to mind. So I'm not sure that we had exactly top 5, bottom 5, but those are general.
We'll write
thoughts
an
there.
article about that one.
Yeah, that's pretty important. All right. In a similar vein, we got a question from Michaela. I hope I pronounced that right. They ask, looking for advice for the seasonal playoffs, specifically, what emotes should I bring? I only have the free ones, and I suspect that I'll need to up my game. Facepalm, Sad Poro are well played and useful. What do you guys think?
Okay. Obviously, Jinx Teamote, S tier, keep it.
The Jinx emote never leaves.
I
Never
really
leaves.
think that the classic emotes are very good. And
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I
are.
think that the only upgrades that need to be made are the Ezreal sweating emoji or emote. I think that one is perfect seasonal tournament emote. I think
That's
that
fair.
That's a good one. That
specifically
or
for
the-
the seasonal tournament. That one is
Or the
is excellent.
Teemo like sitting there like, oh god, please draw the card.
Yeah, that one's really good. And everyone should just have the Lulu emote.
Yeah, Lulu is just necessary. It's too weird.
I hate
it doesn't make any.
It doesn't make any sense.
There's no world where that
It's just
emote makes
applicable.
sense.
It's just applicable
She
for
just
every
looks
situation.
so gleeful in her despair.
You
It's
could just
awful.
smug.
You can just feel how much fun your opponent is having when they play that emote and you're losing. Like you
if
can
you're-
I like close my. They hit the Lulu emote. I close my eyes. I'm losing this game, and I like go to my opponent's house, and they're like, driving their Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It's like Jeeves hit the Lulu emote. Like there's a pool in the background, strippers everywhere. Like every time. So like
That went to a place.
This is not what I.
that's what I think whenever someone hits the
purple.
I was-
the Lulu emote.
I was just gonna say that like
You
don't
just know they're
what
having
it's-
more fun than you.
I was just gonna say you don't know what it's for. Like it's
It's
like,
because they're having more fun than you.
no, it's because
every time.
It's just there's no situation where it's not applicable because no one knows what it means. If you're about to lose, Lulu emote. If you're about to win, Lulu emote. If they screw up, Lulu emote. It never doesn't make sense, but it also never makes sense.
I agree.
I love it.
All right. The Rabbit Returns asks, what are your thoughts on the power creep that the revealed cards have? Should equivalent cards in other regions receive buffs to bring them in line with the power level that the Shurima expansion brings? Specifically, Patient Squire versus Cythria, we talked about that. Bloodthirsty Marauder versus Legion Rearguard, Radiant Strike versus Shapestone. There's a couple strictly better Shurima cards than other cards.
I see.
However,
Interesting.
they're like, I don't know, like most of these cards
I
are...
don't think any of those cards ended up being that good. Like the strictly
exactly.
better versions are like not game breaking.
Yeah, I don't think that the cards that the other regions need to go back and have buffs to their cards because they're a different region, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
the
the
different
biggest thing.
regions. I think a different region can absolutely have a strictly better card than another
Because
region
that's
because
that
it's a
region's
different
region identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you're the aggro region, why doesn't the aggro region have a better one drop than the non-aggro region? For
sure.
And it's fine.
As a designer, as people who design games, like in your head when you're designing a game, Demacia can have a 3-mana 3/4, but Shurima's
Noxus
is a
probably doesn't?
yeah, is a
Targon,
4-mana
whatever.
3/4.
Oh, Targon's a good example.
Yeah,
wouldn't have that.
So, and you don't print both of those cards, but you do know that one is allowed to be better than the other. Or a better example is probably Freljord has 3-mana 3, or something will have a 3-mana 3/3, and Demacia can have a 3-mana 3/4. That kind of thing.
absolutely.
If they both have quick attack or whatever is a good example. And so it's just totally fine.
So with and the cross region thing, that's an easy that's okay. The inter region thing, the interesting part of that question I think is the Cythria versus better quote unquote. I don't remember the name of the
Patient
cards.
Squire,
It's not Patient Squire.
Pertinent Squire.
Penitent Square, something.
Penitent Bannerman?
Why
It
would
says
be
Patient Squire in the question, but the 1-mana 2/2 that says
Yeah,
if you
Cythria. I
have
was
an
gonna say
elite, you
Cythria
get
or better
the challenger.
Cythria.
Yeah. We can call it better.
But the other,
for now.
but Cythria is an elite for like the kind of things that matter.
Yeah, it's
It
not
is.
strictly better. I assume that this card's better than Cythria, but
Yeah, and there's the I thought that they were both elites. Honest, if I'm being honest.
yeah, they're not both elites. So,
Okay, so that's
one
a,
of them
that's a
keys
different
off
that's
of
a
an
side
elite.
grade right there. Like that's fine. Like it's not actually strictly better. One's an elite, one isn't. That's relevant.
Yep.
Also, there's an argument for adding redundancy to a region is totally okay. Like it's not. I think there are going to be situations where a strict upgrade of a card is okay. Not that this is a strict upgrade of a card.
Yeah, it'll probably happen eventually, and usually the card pool
happen
gets to a big enough position where it becomes inevitable.
Yeah, and it might matter later for formats, like we might not be able to play Foundation cards in a while. And also, all of these new card designs, like even Targon, Bilgewater, have really been shown how little text are on a lot of Foundation cards. Like, I mean, the set is called Foundations because it's literally like beta, very basic cards, but like Darius, Garen, very basic champions.
Yep.
Like they're just very bread and butter. Not bad. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they find places in decks, but Decimate. These cards are
They're simple.
Yeah, they're get excited. All of these cards are simpler than Noxian Fervor, and Noxian Fervor isn't that complicated.
Yeah.
And so and that's neat. And that's how that's going to be. I don't think that those cards will just eventually not be very playable, and that is fine in this case. It gets out of control. It definitely gets out of control. It happened with Magic recently.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make a big humbug about this one particular. Yeah, but it could be a worrying trend in the future.
There is okay and not okay power creep, and that is
This
really
is okay. I think this is
it's totally okay. It's a case by case
Not mad about
basis,
it.
and like power creep is inevitable, and there is a point where it's a problem, but I don't think this is a problem.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Richard Ayad asks, obvious one, how do you expect Shurima to impact the meta? I expect it to be good.
Yeah, this one's really hard to answer.
I don't really know what else
to
say. Yeah,
It's kind of
I think that there is going to be at least one, if not multiple tier 1 Shurima decks, almost certainly. It's pretty hard to release a region that isn't at least playable. So the meta is going to change. I don't know what the other impacts are going to have. I expect that we'll see more landmark destruction in general, played in decks probably. So
on that note, I think that we shouldn't rush to have any nerfs of cards before Shurima drops because so much is going to change.
Certainly.
It's going to shake the whole thing up. We don't know all the Shurima cards yet. And we just don't know all of the random combinations that are going to become good. Like the number of things keeps expanding exponentially. This is why I'm glad they're capping it at 10 regions, because every new region combines with all of the other ones and can be a mono deck and all of those champions and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's a better splash color in Mist Wraiths or like mono Targon Invoke control, and then maybe it's a better half of Ezreal's Raven. That's a really bad example, but whatever.
Like, vastly more permutations of things.
Yeah, like maybe it's
every time you add another region, everything gets more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Shurima's going to change a lot. All right. Next from Mathlog, they ask, do you think the Watcher is too easy to enable? So the Watcher is the 17 mana 11/17 that says if you've played 4 8+ allies, it costs 0 instead.
So first off, if you're not cheating at all, absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you have to 4 turns in a row, you have to play an 8-drop.
I can't really imagine what game that playing 4, like I can't imagine a game that the 4th 8-drop in a row didn't win that this card will. There's not that many of them,
absolutely.
And the 4th 8-drop is probably going to win most games that you have the chance to win. And if the 4th 8-drop isn't good enough, I guess this card is definitely going to get there. But
the cards that key off of it are built to cheat a little bit.
They are,
and there is the 1 mana relic that's trying to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that this card,
I don't think this card's too easy to
is
enable,
not too easy. I don't think that any of the things that are cheating are going to be that good either. So.
What is the one? So there's an 8 mana 6/6 that makes it cost 0 and gives it ephemeral.
Spectral Matron.
It makes it cost
makes
0.
a 1/1 copy, ephemeral copy of a card in hand. Right? Is that what it does?
Don't think it's a 1/1, but I believe that it is.
I think
Spectral
it's a 1/1
Matron.
card.
It might be a 1/1, but it's an 8 mana 6/6 that says choose an ally in hand, create an ephemeral copy of it and play.
I think it's Splinter Soul's a thing.
Yeah, it could. It's either a 1/1 or an 11/17, but it really doesn't matter because all that you care about is the attack obliterate trigger. So if it's broken, I suspect that's why, but I don't think that's going to be too good.
I'm not worried about this card personally.
I agree. All right. XD60 asks, with Lysandre dropping today, do you all think that TLC will make a comeback? I've still got no scrubs on all my playlists, so I don't think they ever left. All right. And the last question of the day, this one comes from Ryan Le Guaton. They ask, how do you evaluate your losses and approach them in an objective manner to help improve your gameplay? So this is a very big question that we're hardly going to be able to scratch the surface of now.
I suggested this as this episode's topic, and then realized that
it's way too much to talk about today. But this could be very easily be a whole episode topic for next week. My immediate, very Reader's Digest advice here is if you're tilted from a game, take a break before you try to analyze them. If you're struggling to remember how the game's played out, perhaps try taking quick notes while you're playing the game, like while your opponent is making decisions, if that is something that you can do. And there's a lot of people who can't split their attention like that, but some people can. So if that's you, taking notes is a good way to help remember how your games went, and also is a great way to help notice trends in those games. Those are my two quick pieces of advice, I think.
At the risk of sounding annoying, I think that the absolute best way you can improve your play is to join our Discord, hop in a Discord call, screen share, and play with other random people, because they'll be like, why did you do that? And then you have to explain it, even if you're right. Yeah. And so asking yourself that question is huge, and it's really nice when people ask it for you.
And it doesn't have to be our Discord. It can just be, a Discord with your friends or whatever.
We would obviously
I highly recommend our Discord. We've got a 20% increase in player skill if our Discord
really
results
quickly.
Not
that's
verified.
I want to say something very quickly. Our Discord has about
100 people now.
Almost 100. Very close to 100.
We had over 20 people in our Discord qualify for the seasonal.
Awesome. That's
Super.
incredible.
So I think that's a pretty good,
25% is nuts.
Quick little plug for the caliber of players around. Anyway, last thing I wanted to add on to the other thing. If you find yourself in a moment in a game, there's always going to be these moments where you're like, do I do this or do I do this? You're about to make a decision and you don't know which is right. Remember that moment and think back to it at the end of the game and think to yourself, why did I pick option A? Why did I not and was it right? If I picked option B, what would have happened? And just sort of look into that a little bit. Everything else sort of got touched on already. That's the last thing I can think of as far as analyzing play.
Great. There's a lot to go into
basics
there.
Anyway. Yeah. It's a huge question.
It's very different for every person, so it's hard to answer. Whew. Okay. This is officially our longest episode ever by quite a bit.
Yeah.
By
first,
quite a bit.
First more than 2 hours.
Yeah. So thank you guys to anyone who stuck with us this long. Hopefully we made your workday or whatever
more tolerable.
A little bit easier. If you're not a member of our Discord already, be sure to click the link you'll find in the description wherever you're listening to this on, as well as follow us on Twitter. We've made a commitment that we're going to be doing a lot more on Twitter. We've been
at Select Champ.
Yeah, at Select Champ is the Twitter handle, which will also be in the description below wherever you're listening to this on. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you on the next episode of Champ Select.